Boom. Did that backwards. I was supposed to hit the music first.
Yeah.
And then also...
Welcome to Chubby Boy Magic. It's been a minute.
I hope you got the regular voice in there too. When
I
you're
did.
like,
yeah, we haven't recorded for a couple
or
weeks.
the robot voice. Dylan really likes the robot voice.
Dylan
likes... Damn it.
Yeah.
Dylan likes the robot voice.
Dylan can go fuck himself on that one. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Dylan. It's surprising how many people actually listen to the episodes. So, like, 4 people are probably going to text you after this.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Don't be bugging me.
Yeah, they're going to...
They're going to blow your phone up one time.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. We had somebody on, if it was Shelby or if it was Brian. No, it wasn't one of them. Who was it? Somebody was like, oh, I was on your episodes, and, like, someone reached out. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's like 14 people that listen to this shit, but all right. And then whenever we get into the thousands,
there's like 15.
But all 14 have a phone. So
Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
I mean, you have Nate, Billy, Dylan,
you're glistening.
Josh.
Yeah, shout out to Josh. Also,
Josh.
what is his Instagram handle? He's Sharper.
Sharp something. I don't know. He'll cut you.
Yeah. Look up
He'll make
Josh,
your knives so sharp you'll lose a finger.
Oh, he tried to shave my arm one time after he sharpened one of my knives, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So he did it, and I tried to do it. I was like, I'm just going to fucking skin myself over here. All right.
There's an art.
Stay sharp, okay.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Josh. Welcome to this episode, if you're listening this week. In studio today, we have a very cool guest. Yep.
Who?
Yep, it's me.
Yeah, it's me.
It's me.
I thought I was your guest.
Well, he said cool, so I thought.
Well, fuck off. We all know that's a lie. All right. Mr. Kent, who are you? Why the fuck are you here? And why the fuck did I ask you to my house today?
I'm Kent Collins. I have no idea why I'm here.
Well, let me tell you why
I think
you're here.
I'm here because my dog can't
Yes.
talk. I really think that's it.
We don't want to talk to you. We want to talk to Pluto.
Yeah, that's an educated guess. That was very educated.
Yes.
When I told Pris who was gonna be on, she was like, "Is his dog gonna be there?"
I did have to tell him beforehand. I was like, you can see the studio, while very good, is very intimate.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
not, and
yeah.
she was like, "Oh."
Yeah, I don't know that Pluto would say a whole lot. Rex has come on in a couple episodes and he usually
Yeah.
sleeps right there. And in like one of the episodes, he was over there like just snoring, and someone's like, "Hey, we can hear your dog in the background." I'm like, I mean,
Snoring or panting
he's
right next to me the whole time. Yeah.
yeah. So,
yeah.
So Kent, I've known you for a while now. You've always been very cool and entertaining.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you've done a lot of really cool shit, and the point of the podcast is to have cool people that do cool shit on, not just motorcycling. You were talking like 5 seconds before.
I've done a few things
A few.
in life.
Yeah.
So people will know you for what? Most likely.
Well, most people know me because I ride around with my dang dog on a sidecar.
Yeah.
Sidecar Pluto. That's he's a big old 150-pound Great
I
Pyrenees.
didn't know
Yeah.
he was 150 pounds.
He
He's
is
so
150
fluffy.
pounds. He is probably the most photographed dog in this state.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He does have his own Instagram.
He has his Sidecar Pluto is his Instagram.
Yeah. What's that? So
He's
at Sidecar Pluto.
At Sidecar Pluto.
We'll get that out of the way first because I usually do it at the end. And I forgot.
Yeah. And he's actually been on the Visit Oklahoma OKC commercial.
Oh, really?
He was on
Nice.
that. He's been in the Curbside Chronicle.
He's been documented.
Yeah, and what is it? The Ride Oklahoma magazine.
Yeah,
he was on
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was also in Homes.com commercial.
Wow.
What? Really?
Yes.
How did that one come about?
Well, you know my son.
Yeah, Ethan's the shit.
Ethan is my son, and he builds and makes and does a bunch of stuff. Well, we have a neighbor kid that saw some of the stuff my son built.
Right.
His
Yeah.
remote control golf carts,
Yeah.
and remote control shopping carts. Well, this kid is only about 10, and he wanted to learn how to do it. So he
Okay.
became Ethan's second, sibling.
Okay. His
Okay.
little
So he
protege.
comes over all the time, and
Okay.
they build stuff, and Ethan teaches him how to build stuff.
Nice.
And then his mother works for Homes.com,
Okay.
and she was like, "Say, would you be on our commercial?"
You're not going to be
how-
paid today.
And that is how
Yeah.
he got on that commercial.
And you're like,
that's-
I am my dog's manager. Let's
Yes.
talk money.
Did you feel?
now, let me also point out, I am in those commercials too. Just nobody notices.
So my wife, the sheriff, that's her nickname. So for the podcast, so she's got an important job, so can't always say her actual name. So I was talking to the sheriff today, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we have a guest coming over for the podcast." And she goes, "Who is it?" And she usually knows most of our friends or who is going to be on, and she knows them in some capacity. And I was like, Kent, who is Sidecar Pluto's dad. She's like, "Oh, is Sidecar Pluto coming?" And I was like, "No,
Yeah,
Kent's
yeah.
coming." And she was like, "Is Kent the salt and pepper guy?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." She remembered who you
Yeah.
were exactly.
There you go.
She was like, "Firefighter," and I was like, "Yep, retired." So
Yeah.
yeah.
Retired Oklahoma City firefighter.
How long were you a firefighter for?
25 years.
What
Nice.
Is it a battalion per? What? How does that work for?
What house were you at?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So I was at Station 32, which is out in Surrey Hills. That was my last fire station.
Right,
That's where I
right,
retired
right.
out of.
by the is it the LDS church that's out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Across
Right,
the street.
right off the expressway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Off,
7-Eleven.
what is it called? Mustang Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you protected the fucking golf course a lot, I bet.
I did. It's a big area out there. It goes to Piedmont.
Yeah.
Past Piedmont.
Right,
There's a
right,
lot of
right.
Space. A lot
So-
of open spaces.
How long were you at that fire station before you retired?
Well, it was my last 3 years.
out? Okay.
But firefighters, we move all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
So what was your favorite place? What was your favorite firehouse to be at?
Well, I gotta say, the one by the lake, Station 30, was pretty
yeah.
fun.
I bet for
Yeah.
a lot of reasons.
It was pretty fun over there.
That's a busy one. I
It's
see them.
busy,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always going out.
and
'cause-
they're active. They play kickball. They
Oh,
play
really?
Yeah.
volleyball because you got to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
I
what
see
a
him
lot
playing
of
volley.
it is.
I
Yeah.
see him playing volleyball or running around the lake. There's
Yeah.
Dude.
here lately. There's been about 6 of them that will start running.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
So when I first started cycling, like forever ago, I used to do it as an addition to my boxing stuff I was doing at the time. And I looked like I was dying every time they came across me. And at least once when they would pass me, "Do you need help?" I'm like, no. I just look this
This
color.
is on purpose.
Yeah, no, I get it. So, and then
He
I had-
still looks that way. Don't let him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even when I was riding, like I rode like fucking 3,000 miles on my bicycle last year or some shit. And I'm like pretty good at it. I'm like, so yeah.
At the end, it's like, I hate you. I'm never doing this again.
What time are you riding tomorrow? Yeah. So you were a did you? How far up in the fire command of shit?
I was a lieutenant.
Okay.
That's what I retired at.
So can I call you Lieutenant Kent?
No.
Lieutenant
No.
Dan.
That's where I was going. He's got
my-
legs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can. Some guy is what most people know me as.
Yeah.
Some guy with Pluto. That's,
Yeah.
I just having known a lot of people in media, like me and Spanky have both had either he's worked in media, my wife's worked in media, like we've done all kinds of different production shit. It's always like, no, you have a name, like it's not just the handler.
Yeah.
Jack, what was his Jack Barra? He used to come on Jay Leno show.
Yeah. with
It
all the
wasn't just the
animals.
lizard guy. Like, yeah. So we're gonna make a name for you today. To 4 people.
Jack Hanna.
There you
Hanna.
go. Yeah. Yeah.
Get it right.
I know.
youngster.
Fucking I'm young.
You don't remember those. You don't remember Johnny Carson.
So fun fact, my mom traded a bunch of drugs for Johnny Carson DVDs one time when I was a little kid, and I watched a lot of Johnny Carson.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I had a really good childhood. It was wholesome. Yeah. Kent's like,
All right.
well, let's,
I was trying to figure that out. I was going. First, I was trying to figure out which way the drugs were going.
Oh yeah, no. I also traded a quarter sack of weed. I will not say how long ago, but I got like a bunch of Japanese magazines for the comic books.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got like
Sure.
Yeah, I got like
Sure.
15 years worth of those fucking things, and I was like, "Good lord!" It was copy paper boxes like that,
Was that-
stacked.
Was that where the
God.
big box of Asian porn came from in your office?
No, that's a different guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually traded a CD for that,
Oh,
a Limp
okay.
Bizkit CD, of all things.
Oh,
Yeah,
who got screwed more?
you know what the best part about that is, as a story, I was in middle school, and that was the first porno DVD I'd ever watched before, and I was like, I really want to keep it because it seems sentimental.
So sentimental.
So I traded him this Limp Bizkit CD, and it was the only DVD I owned for like a while because I was poor.
Yeah.
So when I got my first like Xbox that would play DVDs, that was what I checked to see if it played DVDs. So my
God.
dad
Yeah.
comes into my bedroom when I was a child, and he's like, "Oh my god!" So yeah, but
See,
it worked.
Kent will be able to relate to this because probably our first, I'm going to air quote, porn would be either
A magazine
Montgomery
we found on the side of the road.
Well, there was that, or the National Geographic, or the Montgomery Ward's catalog.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
when that
Yeah.
Sears catalog
The Sears
came out,
catalog came
Yeah.
in, it fell
Woo,
right
man.
open to the bra section.
Oh, yeah, every
I don't
time.
know why it's creased right there.
Oh yeah. And when you walk down the road, you see a magazine. You're like, oh come on, please.
Yeah. And it'd be like jugs, and you're like, yes.
So
Sports Illustrated. Damn it.
yeah, fuck it. So there was a vacant house across the street from where I grew up at, and homeless people would just transients come in and out of that house all the time. And I never went in there. My dad was like, "It's haunted," just to get me to not go in there. And then one of my buddies in the neighborhood fucking went in, and he was like, "Dude, you gotta go in there." And it was, I don't know if it was Christie's Toy Box was doing it or somebody else. It was like soft core, like, oh, she's in a bikini, but a little bit more risque. And we stole all those fucking local paper style ones, folded them all up. I hid them underneath all my shit in my bedroom.
You know, you do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, man. When
Yeah.
you're like fucking 11,
It's rough.
Yeah.
Like this era
Kids
of
these days won't know the struggle.
dude, they do not know
They
the
do not.
watching when
like
the
hot
cable
and cold
channel
running porn all
when the
day.
cable channel is scrambled and you're like moving your head and it's all rainbow colored. You could hear the sound, but you couldn't see the picture, and you're like, I think that's a nipple,
I think it is.
you know, and yeah.
I don't know if it is, but I think I'm there.
there.
Ah, shit, it's a kneecap. But I'm still done.
Smack my ass, call me Sally.
I was reading this still from one of my buddies. He's like, "Do you ever just watch like, you know, like the Victoria's Secret thing on television, just so you see like normal people wearing swimsuits?" I was like, No. It still had the
No.
hub up. So anyway, to kind of digress, Kent was like, "Fuck, man, I'm just gonna come on here and talk about other shit." So I wanted to have you as a guest because you know a lot of people know you for Pluto, and that's cool. And
Apparently, everybody knows him
That's
for
for
Pluto.
Pluto.
Or they don't know him. They know Pluto.
yeah, and
I was telling them when I got here, I'll meet people, I'll introduce them, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm Ken." They're like, "Oh, I've met Pluto," and I'm thinking, then that means you've met me too.
it's
but,
like if you had a toddler,
but you don't
Yeah.
remember me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we have talked on and off at Cars and Coffee,
Yeah.
all these different
Yeah.
events.
Mhm.
I don't know where I really want to start at. I think I out of my hat of things I want to pick is okay.
So, what kind of motorcycle you ride?
Yeah.
All right. So right now, the bike that I ride with Pluto is a Ural, a 2006 Ural.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is a Russian motorcycle. It's a reverse engineered 1937 BMW.
Yeah.
They reverse engineered it, and in 42 they started making the Ural.
Yeah.
And they haven't changed much since then.
Right.
Yours is a newer one. So I
Mine
worked.
is a 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now, did you buy it and then have it shipped over, or did you
No,
buy
no.
it here?
Actually, so here's the story.
Because I know
I've
you can
ridden
get them.
motorcycles.
You can get them crated over.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
No, you can buy them brand new.
Dude.
There's a place on 10th and nope. Sorry, he moved.
yeah, I was gonna try and say
Motive.
Yeah, Motive.
Yeah, yeah,
Motorcycles
okay,
on
okay.
Wilshire.
Yeah, so Moomaw took over after I worked at Atomic Brown in
Yeah.
high school, and we sold Urals there.
Yeah, and you can buy them brand new.
Yeah, and they were the shit, dude.
They are. They're a little pricey now.
Yeah,
but,
there used to be like 2 or 3 around town you'd see
Yeah.
all the time.
but I got mine. So I've ridden motorcycles for years. That's how I get around.
Right.
And but I got Pluto, and it was because of Ethan again.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Hey, you got to look at this dog," and I'm like, "I don't want no big damn dog." And then I
Were
met
you a
Pluto.
small dog kind of guy beforehand?
No, but
Oh.
so I wanted a dog. I didn't really want a puppy. I didn't want to train it. I was going to go to
Right,
the pound
right.
and
Yeah.
get some
What we did with
dog
Rex,
and
yeah. Yeah.
find a dog and like, hey, there's my dog.
Yeah.
Adopt, don't shop.
That's right.
Yeah. But Ethan sent me. There you go.
Yeah.
But Ethan sent me a video of this dog, and I'm like, all right, I'll take a look at him.
Yeah.
And pretty much immediately, all right, that's my dog.
Yeah. That was
And,
how Rex was for me.
And he got his name because we're sitting there, me and my kids are sitting around talking. And I said, he had these comically huge paws.
Yeah.
Right.
And somebody made the joke of, he's going to be the size of a small planet.
Oh
And
my
they're like,
God.
that's his name, Pluto.
Pluto.
A small
Nice.
planet.
Small
So
planet.
That's how he got his name.
Did you have a crisis whenever NASA was like, "Oh, Pluto's not a planet anymore," or did you just tell them to fuck off?
I said I got something better than a planet.
Yeah.
I got
That's
my
true.
big old
That's
mutt.
true.
Yeah,
So I rode motorcycles. I got Pluto.
yeah,
And I was like, man, I don't want to go anywhere without Pluto. So I'm talking to my kids. I get on Facebook Marketplace.
yeah.
Some guy just posted that bike for sale in Edmond.
Wow.
And it was middle of winter. Of course, nobody had called on it.
Right.
Went up
Yeah,
and
'cause
bought
it's
the
the
bike.
fucking
Yeah,
middle
'cause
of
it's
winter.
middle of winter.
Yeah.
And I bought it and went up there and
Now
bought it right then.
yours.
So did you have to work with him a lot to get him like where he would ride in it, used to it, or
Now, the thing about Pluto, and I think this is, like a lot of Great Pyrenees,
Yeah,
they're chill.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
super chill.
Yeah. My
People ask me to train them, and I'm like, no, I just put them in there.
yeah.
And
My oldest dog, she's like Grand Pyrenees German Shepherd mix. So she's not
she's
Giant.
adorably small.
yeah,
For a-
she's about 80 pounds.
Yeah.
But she is the chillest dog and
Oh,
smartest
yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
And best dog I've ever had. And she was a rescue, adopted, but it's just like
they are just
Yeah.
so easygoing. It's easy to get them to do stuff because they're just like, whatever.
that when we were
If I
going.
feel like it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So when we were going through training with Rex, we went to Canine University. There was one that was in that class, and the lady was super frustrated because the dog's her fucking size, and
Yeah.
she's like, "I can't get it to do anything." And she's like, the trainer that we had was really nice, and she's like, "Come by for extra training, tutoring after a couple classes. We'll work on it." And then because we were in there for I think it was 8 weeks, and I was like, "Man, this poor lady feels like she's just wasting this money."
Right.
Finally, at the end, there was this put out a 50-foot rope lead, and then drop it, and you're supposed to call the dog back when tell him to sit and all that stuff. Well, the dog, because that dog had never done it. Finally, that day, we watched a miracle happen because that dog was like, "Yeah, I guess today's the day." And then as soon as we all leave, we all graduate, we all get a little slip of paper, and as we're walking out to the car, Rex is all like, "Yeah, I did good." We're like, "Yep," and he's getting in the back seat, and that lady was like, "That fucking dog did that one time. Won't listen to me anymore past that." So
When I got Pluto as a puppy, we were down at Scissortail.
okay,
And some people were looking, oh, we've had Pyrenees for years. Oh, they're great dogs. And they said, is this your first one? I said, yeah. And they go, well, I'm going to give you a little piece of advice. And I'd only had Pluto about a month at this time.
Right.
And they said, he's never going to do what you want. Just relax.
yeah, he's got a mind of his own, and he's gonna
It
use
was
it.
the best piece of advice I ever heard because, he will do what I want him to do just whenever he feels like it.
Now, how old is he? Right now?
He's almost 5.
Oh wow, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Because I started riding again really in 2020, but I had seen you periodically over by
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Mall and stuff, and then I was out. We were getting ready to do this scooter Christmas ride, and I saw you because you used to. Do you still decorate the Ural for Christmas?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've got my Christmas tree. It's
Yeah.
It comes out after Thanksgiving.
So I had seen you with Pluto, and then I roll by on my little 300, and I was like, "Man, we had all been talking about you, but you're like fucking Sasquatch. We could never find you." And then I saw you ride by. I tried to chase you down, but I couldn't quite make the ground up. And I was like, "Damn it, he's got a tree in the fucking car right now too. It'd be so good for this Christmas parade."
Oh
But-
yeah.
Yeah, but. And then I just finally originally met you one time at Cars and Coffee. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be friends with you. God damn it, we're figuring this out. So yeah, is your Ural all-wheel drive?
Yeah. Well, not all-wheel drive. It's 2-wheel drive.
Okay.
But it's only when you want it to be. It's on demand.
Okay.
So it's a regular motorcycle, the sidecar wheel, but we ride through the snow and we rode through Colorado, and I used the 2-wheel drive a couple of times.
Nice.
Yeah, help you get up the
But
hills.
if you but here's the deal: when you put in 2-wheel drive, you're going straight.
yeah,
That's
you're not,
it.
You're not
going
turning.
to turn. You're
Yeah.
going to go straight because both back tires go at the same speed. So.
Yeah, there's not a differential between the two of them. It's just a,
Yeah.
but it's a pipe that goes over and says I
So-
go at the same speed.
Yeah. So you use it if you have to, and then you turn it off.
You're like, I'm going up straight this hill, and then that's it. Where did you guys go in Colorado for that trip?
We went. I hauled a bike because I don't know if you know this, but Urals are not land speed record bikes.
No, they're
Right.
not.
Right.
It tops out about 55, and I
Okay.
was like, I wasn't going to torture Pluto or myself
Yeah.
going to Colorado.
Oh, no.
at
Right.
55.
No, I'm not
Right.
putting Pluto
So
through that.
So we hauled it to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And then we jumped on it, rode it to Denver to see some relatives.
Right.
And then we went to Leadville, Crested Butte,
Oh,
Buena
nice.
Vista, but we went all mountain roads.
Oh shit. Okay.
So we went over, I think we did like 13 mountain passes.
Wow.
We had a great
Okay.
time.
For that, I mean, now since Pluto's a great Pyrenees, he's got a really thick coat to him.
Yeah.
So did you bundle him up or anything, or was he just good?
No, but I bundled up.
I bet you fucking did. I bet you fucking did.
But I will say, he was not, the first couple of nights, he did not like all those forest sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the animals in the forest, he kept jumping
So
up
you-
and looking around.
Tent camping?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That was a real adventure.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
And that so
If you look at my bike, you'll notice a bunch of stuff on it. All that stuff I built. Like I made flip down water bowls for him.
Yeah.
And so
Nice.
I've got all of his water, food bowls, food, and it's all set up
Self-contained.
for him, and a coffee pot I have my my coffee thermos
Yeah.
mounted to my bike.
Right.
I can't
Nice.
remember which
I
cars.
got to remember.
There was we were up in Ingrid one time to Cars and Coffee, and you had kind of fucked off, and I was
Right.
looking for coffee. It was still at Chisholm Creek at that point,
No.
and I was like, man, I really need coffee because I was hungover. And I ran into you, and I was like, man, I just really need coffee. You're like, I'm just sorry, I just ran out. I was like, fuck. He's like, I have some on my bike. I was like, it's over. I was like, it'd be fine. I'll just get it later. Yeah, because Ethan had run up, and he was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, what's up, dude? So I think that was the day that we were trying to figure out why his rear suspension was all fucked off on the 240.
All right. Do you know the story about the 240 and the building of it?
So I've been told some of it, but you tell it for the listeners, for the 4 people, you know.
So I've
Shout out
always
to Dylan.
there you go. So I've always liked working on stuff and having a project. And when Ethan was 16, he had a cool little Volvo 240.
Yeah,
And
Right.
it's fun. He loves it. We still love him.
yeah. Big Volvo guy.
Yes. And
That's for me.
there you go. But he came home and he goes, I want a Miata.
And you're like, fuck.
And so I got him a Miata. I went to the salvage yard, bought a wrecked Miata, and
yeah.
hauled it home, put it in the garage, and said, "If you want a Miata, you got to build it."
There you go.
Yep.
So
He was
we
like,
went
"Fuck."
to yeah.
Yeah.
So we went down to bought a whole JDM front end, cut off, welded it up, got it all running, put new top, put all that stuff in there, painted
Right.
it in the garage.
Nice.
And so he drove that Miata for a long time, and then he was going to college, so he needed a bigger vehicle. So we got him a Volkswagen Jetta, a TDI.
240 is bigger.
No, hold on. So he had the TDI, but
Is that the one that got wrecked real bad?
One of two.
Okay. Thanks, Ethan.
Two TDIs wrecked in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Both of them rear-ended. But so then we wanted another something project together, and he was like, I want a 240. And he was bugging the hell out of me about it.
As
He's
kids
like,
are
look
to
at
do.
this one, look at this one, look at this one.
Huh.
And
Weird.
he looked at this one. He goes, come on, I want to go look at this one. It's a rust bucket, but let's go check it out. And we looked at it,
famous
and
last
it is a
words.
rust bucket. It was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
rust bucket,
Right.
but it turned over, and we're like, and we both kind of fell in love with it. I was like,
It's-
I think this is the one.
It's
Let's
a
get
super
it.
cool car.
is.
So how I met Ethan originally was our buddy Bishop. Has a 68 Cougar XR7, and he was in college with Ethan. And he kept going, man, this guy's got this really cool little 240, and I know you love him, so you need to meet him. And
Yeah.
I kept going, sure, let's all fucking go out and have a beer. And he's like, well, you can't really have a beer with him because he's not really of the age at that point. I was like, all right. So we were at a local car meet, and I walked by it, and I was like, man, because you never see him. And I wanted a Datsun 210 Honeybee
Ooh.
because Monster Garage had built a
I
drift
had a
car.
510.
Oh, and how I got Ingrid my 142, my Volvo, is I wanted a 2002 BMW, a 510, a 210 Honeybee. I wanted a
Yeah.
Honeybee though. I wanted the
Yeah.
fucking honeycombed
Right.
hubcaps and
Right.
everything.
Right.
I would have got my ass beat. Or a 142, and I found my 142 first, and then I always kind of held out hope I was gonna find a 240 because I was like, man, a 240 would be really cool.
Yeah.
Never really found one, and then I was walking by his. I was like, God, it's the right color for me. I was like, dude, I gotta ask this guy, whoever it is, I gotta ask him if it's for sale. And then Bishop walks up. He's like, "That's my buddy Ethan's car." And I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna fucking ask him now, because I'm betting he's a car guy, so he knows what he's got." So
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and he loves that car, and it's a project. We build it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
and I've got I had a 122 in Amazon, Volvo 122 for a long time.
well, and so I didn't realize because you with your 240, did you buy parts from Swedish imports?
Yeah,
I at some point or another probably interacted with you well before we met.
yeah.
I worked there not for a while, but I used to. I mean, fuck. We tried to figure it out. I think I had 40 Volvos I've either bought or sold as a whole car or broken apart. I've had I can't remember how many 240s and 940s and 740s. I've had two 142s. I bought one. I kept it. That's Ingrid, and I had another one I should have kept, but fuck.
Yeah.
And
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, and that was also the same yellow as his 240. But yeah, so yeah, he was talking about the 240 one time. He was like, "Yeah, the rear suspension feels like it's wobbling all over the place."
Yeah.
I was like, "It can't be that bad." And I get underneath there. I'm like, "Dude, your trailing arms are fucked, dude."
Yeah, we got
I went underneath there. And I was like, "Do you hear this noise?" Click, 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 click. And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Is that the noise you've been hearing and feeling?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You need a bushing real bad."
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
here's
should be able to do that with my arm. Yeah.
But you know that if we hadn't have bought that car, it would have ended up in a salvage yard.
Yeah.
So here's the other cool thing about that car. So we bought the car, and we were going to get the title transferred.
Okay.
But the title was signed like 5 years before we got it.
Right.
It'd been kind of, this car had just been passed around, but
Right,
nobody titled it.
Yeah.
So we've got this title, and we're trying to figure out, well, we need to get, so I go to tag agency, and they're like, well, if you can get the guy that signed it to say you just bought it, you won't have to pay back.
The penalties and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So-
I just got it yesterday.
Yeah. So I get on what is it? I get online.
Yeah.
And I
On
look
the
up the
Googles.
name on
Yeah.
the Googles.
Yeah.
I got
that
on the
series
internet.
of tubes. And I look up this guy. He lives 1.5 miles from us.
No shit.
No, seriously, the guy lives 1.5 miles. Right, I mean, right
Right.
down the street.
Right.
So I get the guy's number. I call him and I said, "Hey, this is gonna be weird, but I've got your old car, and I need you to." And he's got, "Oh man, that'd be great."
Yeah.
So super nice guy. I go over there. He's telling me the story about it, and he's like, "Man, I really want to see that car again once you get it running again."
That's super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they were super nice, and he bought it for his kids, and they all all the kids went through on this car, driving this car for a
Wow.
little while,
Oh,
That's
wow.
fucking
and
super
then
neat.
but it kind of got in disrepair and rust,
Yeah,
and
well,
Right.
repairing it was just too cost prohibitive. So he donated it to the 240 Club.
Yeah.
and that's
Sean Coleman, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
in that.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that's how it ended up to me.
That's wild. So I didn't know that part of it. Have you guys shown the car to him since you've got it running?
No, we haven't.
No.
Well, because there was always
That
like,
guy.
yeah, we're always like, well, let's get it a little bit further along. but-
Right, right.
So
But, you know,
the origin behind Ingrid is where Scissortail Park is now. There used to be this bar guy that
oh yeah,
he was all not the alcohol, but everything else you would see in the bar, the napkins and all that stuff. And he had this insane car collection because he used to deliver shit all around the city and, well, good chunk of the state.
Right.
So like Delta 88s, Oldsmobile Vista wagons, just wildly weird shit in this guy's storage yard. And here's this little Volvo 142. And Mike was the guy's name. So I stopped the car. Maybe I was like 12. And I was like, Dad, stop. I gotta go see it. I ran inside the guy's shop and he's like, how fucking old are you? And I was like 12. He's like, you cannot be in here. Like, this is against the law because of all the bar stuff. And I was like, I just have a question about the Volvo. And he's like, okay, come outside. So I go outside and he starts telling me all about it. He had bought the car, built it in the late 80s and early 90s. It had caught fire once, bunch of shit, parked it, sold it twice on eBay. No one ever came and picked it up. And I showed up and I was like, well, how much is this car? And he sells it to me for like $250. Which, when you're 12, is a fucking $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I might as well
yeah.
have bought a fucking Aventador.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so then he always said, bring it back to me so I can see it. And then so he moved where his location was. I didn't know how to get a hold of him. And then I find his location, and I hadn't seen him. I parked that car for 14 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I daily drove it when I was in my teenage years, and then I
Yeah.
parked it when I met my wife, and she was like, "You need a car that has interior and heat and windows at work, and it's not like
women.
Why? Yeah.
Women want the world,
I know.
man.
Just fucking ask
Just
them.
let me live my life.
Yeah. Why don't I get you the moon first? And so I hadn't seen him forever, and I finally found it's around the corner from Flycatcher, and I like,
Oh, no.
drove down
that's
there.
cool.
Yeah, I drove down there and parked in front, knocked on the door, and his wife answered. I'm like, "Hey, remember me?" And she goes, "I remember that car." So she always hated it because she was like, "It's the only red thing that was there." And I was like, "Is Mike here?" And she goes, "No, he's out on delivery." And I was like, "Fuck, I'll have to try again." Because I went through the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna make it better." I was
Right,
gonna get an
right.
interior in it. Just fucking never did any of that shit. So, yeah. So you have done a lot of motorcycling besides owning the Ural.
Yeah, but I've ridden since I was about 15.
What was your first bike?
Well, a lot of my first bike were friends' bikes.
Yeah, you know,
Right,
okay,
My
yeah.
first bike was a Honda Interceptor,
Oh shit. Okay.
and then rode a little bit. My first bike that I bought that was all mine was a 600 Katana.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. Was that
And,
yours
Yep.
too? Yeah.
It was.
And so I had a 600 Katana, and I rode that for a few years, and I ended up staying with mostly Suzuki's. Got
Okay.
GSXRs, a few of those.
Nice.
And then I bought a Buell, which I
What
loved.
Buell
Yeah.
did you have?
I had the Buell X1 Lightning, the old tube frames.
Fuck yes.
And
Those
that
are so
was a
fucking good.
badass bike. I love that bike. And then I bought I test drove years ago, like in 1999. I test drove a Triumph Speed Triple.
Uh-huh.
And I loved that bike. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get one of these days. And then it was about 12 years later, but I ended up buying a 99 Speed Triple, just like the one I test drove.
You were like, it's a different color, but I think
It's
it's
a different color, but that is my favorite bike I've ever owned.
How long have you had that one now for?
Which one?
The Speed Triple that you've owned.
So so I rode that Speed Triple for years.
Okay.
And then I let a friend borrow it.
Oh, good. All right.
And
Good start.
No, but she's awesome. She's
Oh, okay.
a great rider. She's
Right.
everything.
All right.
Right.
But I had hand warmers on it. And I didn't tell her that they don't turn off the ignition. So the battery's been, and then her stepdad was like, well, I'll just go out in the garage and charge up that battery by just turning it on and letting it idle for a while.
Okay.
About 3 hours of idling later,
What?
Yeah.
he turned it on
And forgot
then
about it.
forgot.
Oh, okay. I was like,
So
you
when they
Yeah.
went out there, the engine's,
fucking hot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hot and rattling, and so that was the death of my Speed Triple.
R.I.P.
However, yeah,
But
but there is,
But I'll
kinda-
give you this one.
There could,
Yeah.
could be a silver lining. Anyway, I bought a new motor for it, and
Very
then
cool.
decided that's going to be my racer for the Bonneville Salt Flats.
Okay,
Nice.
so are we talking the super secret one that we're not supposed to talk about on air?
No, this is a different one.
Okay, so
the
we're-
super secret one, we can't. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
it's going to
Let's
be
not
fun.
mention the super secret one that we're not supposed to mention, so everybody knows there's a
Yeah.
super secret
Four
one.
fucking people listen. No.
Yeah, so
I just wanted to get that out of my head before I said it by accident. Now.
so the Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials.
That's why I have you here. Now.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Bonneville Speed Trials are put on by Delvine Reber,
Okay.
and they're up in Utah, outside
Yeah.
of a little town
Yeah.
called Wendover, Utah.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a Bonneville International Speedway,
And so
and it's on the Salt.
I've known you for a while, and all the crazy shit that we've talked about, like the VWs and the cars and all that stuff. We're sitting down. I haven't seen you for probably 4 or 5 months, and we're catching
Yeah.
up. And he just yeah, I was at Bonneville. I'm like, what? I was like,
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you want to talk about some real cool shit? I got some real cool shit to talk about.
Man,
Yeah.
Bonneville is the coolest place to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
It
bucket
is,
list.
So what's wild is how I got involved with Bonneville. So a buddy of mine, he has a BMW, and we were getting it fixed at a
Yeah.
buddy's house.
Okay.
And this guy's kind of known for working on BMWs. We drop it off at his house, and he's got a 47 BMW
Oh fuck.
on his
Wow.
lift. And we're like, man, that's a cool bike. What are you doing? And he goes, oh, well, there's this lady, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying Sherry.
Okay.
He goes,
She's just
her-
like, hold on, censor that real fast.
yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. So That is her dad's. He bought that bike brand new. She
that's fucking
still
cool.
has it. She restored it, and she's going to take it to Bonneville
Oh, fuck.
and race it on the salt.
Holy shit.
And I
yeah.
said, "Damn, that sounds cool. I'd like to meet her." And he goes, "Well, she's sitting over there. Go talk to her." So I'm like, "Cool." So I
right.
go over there and talk
Yeah.
to Sherry, and she's telling me all about Bonneville. And I said, "Man, that sounds badass. You need a pit mate, a pit boss to help you out
Yeah,
there."
pit boss.
And
Yeah.
she goes, "As a matter of fact, I do. Do you want to go?" 2 weeks later, we're
Okay.
driving to Bonneville
Does
together.
she live here?
She lives here.
We
She
got to
lives
get
on-
her on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sherry's freaking awesome.
Okay.
This year she did an even older BMW single cylinder. She restores them, makes them stunningly beautiful, and then races them on the salt.
See
She's
that?
so badass.
That's amazing. See,
Yeah.
Holy
And
shit.
She,
I've got
and
the
she
respect for
sells-
those.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
badass.
yeah.
That's the
And
thing.
you've got the people that restore them, that put them on a wall,
Yeah.
but
No,
but when you bring it back to life, and
wants
that's
to
what it's
live.
made for. You know,
when
it's-
you see him take them off when she takes them off the trailer in Bonneville, they could be in a museum.
Oh,
And
shit.
then she takes it off. Then she just races it on there.
And she's
on
like-
the salt.
And everyone's like, "What the fuck
badass.
did you do for your money?"
I know.
One of the guys I used to hang out with, Evan, his boss used to do a bunch of old vintage Aston Martin stuff,
Yeah.
and had a DB5 that was one Le Mans kind of style car.
Yeah.
And he did vintage racing at Laguna Seca with it, and I was like,
Oh, that's so cool.
"Well, when it
Yeah.
sold on television, and he was on air for it, and that's how I wound up finding out about him in the first place." And I was like, "You sold that car for like $750,000?" And he's like, "Yeah." And when I was racing it back before we lost the economy, it was worth about $1,500,000. And I was
Right.
like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, I owned CD Warehouse for a long time, so I had a lot of money." I was like,
yeah.
"Wit."
So Shuri isn't rich. She just really loves
That's super
riding.
Well,
She's
and that's
cool.
even
She's
cooler
badass.
because she's not sitting there thinking about this was my retirement investment. Like, this is something I want
She
to
also
be at.
has, if you ever go to a bike shop and see stripper juice,
Oh,
she's
okay.
the one that does stripper juice.
Okay.
Which is
Okay.
the car
Yeah.
cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
okay.
That's
So
she
that-
does have money because she's no.
And so anyway, but that's how I ended
I
up
was
in
thinking that
Bonneville.
was something else.
No.
No. He said motorcycle shop.
I had to clarify.
Yeah.
It's a bike cleaning.
I've seen
so
it. It's really good shit.
It is good.
Usually used by people scantily clad at motorcycle
Yeah.
events.
Yeah.
So that's how you started out going
Yeah.
out there. So how long have you been
No,
going
I
out to
lo-
Bonneville now?
This last year was my fourth.
Okay. And so you now have been heading up the
Volunteers. This was my first year
Okay.
doing the volunteers.
And then so how does that work for you? Is it a pretty long process of getting everybody like together, or
So, I mean, Delvine has done it by herself for 20 years. This
Okay.
is my first year. So
Right.
I still, listen to her. I just kind of helped her to get things
yeah?
done.
Okay.
So this is my first year. The previous years, I was the starter. There's two tracks in Bonneville, the 5 mile track and the 7 mile track. And the 7 mile is the fastest bikes in the world.
Right.
Right.
And so I used to start. That's what I did the first 3
Okay.
years.
So when you do the start, how's that work?
So when you're a starter, what you're doing is making sure everything's safe, make sure the track is clear, make sure everything is ready, and then you send them on the way because there can only be one bike on there at a time, of course. And you're just kind of starting it. I mean, it's not like it's not like
Right.
it's the
The most
the
glamorous-
hardest thing. Yeah.
yeah.
No, but it's so you meet the coolest damn people.
Well, you meet
you've
everyone.
ever met.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you meet these people that have really, I mean, now, granted, there's people on a 50-mile-per-hour bike that are just as kick-ass. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right,
because
right.
There was some people came from Japan this year, and they were on a stunningly restored 175. I think it was like a 1972.
Oh, right.
But it was a 175 Honda.
Oh.
Beautiful paint job. I mean, it was spectacular.
Right.
Yeah.
And the wife was riding it,
Okay. All right.
and she broke the record.
cool.
Now, when you break the world record, and I think the record was like 52 miles an hour, because on the salts, it's hard to go fast. So, I mean, it's really
Right.
making your bike go as fast as it can.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they broke the record. Well, there's really strict rules, and their bike was like half a cc over the 175
Fuck.
limit. So they lost their record. So they
What?
jumped in the car, drove to Southern California, picked up another part, came back, drove 20 hours straight, came back, rebuilt the entire bike with the new pistons. On the last day, broke the record again. It
That's
was
how
bad
Wow.
ass.
Now, granted, if
Those
I
are
flew
the
all
coolest people.
Yeah.
If I flew all, I've been to Japan. I fucking would. If I
Yeah.
came all the way over here, I'd be like, we're getting this fucking shit done.
Oh,
Also, it's his wife, so like I know how the sheriff.
I mean,
is. Like,
but I mean, that's
Yeah.
what
That's
what
so
makes
fucking
that place so cool.
so how long does that event run for?
It's only 5 days of racing.
Okay, so it's 5 days. So I was
Yeah.
wondering if it was like they came out Friday, made the first pass, and did it, and
Yeah.
then they were like, "Fuck, we've got until Sunday." Yeah.
It starts on Sunday is the first day of full on racing,
Okay.
and then you race until Thursday night.
Well, it sounds like we have a
Thursday
field
afternoon.
trip for next year. Now, when is
It
this?
it's probably the most it's the most fun thing you can do if you love motorcycles.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah.
then so we had a guest on, Evil Midget, Mr. Mike Cook.
Yeah.
He had been talking about doing Bonneville for the cars forever.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about that, and he just went and did the travel Mecca essentially for
Yeah.
when he was up that way. And he said, "Man, I'm building a car. It's nothing else is like this." And everyone I've never met that's ever been up there and either watched, participated on a crew, or has raced it, there is nothing else like that in the world.
And
Yeah.
here's the crazy part: the volunteering is the most fun part of it.
Yeah, because you're not fucking worried about your shit blowing up or
Well,
getting it
right,
done.
But
yeah.
when you volunteer, you're on the track, so you get to watch these guys tearing past you at full speed.
Yeah.
It is so much fun.
So
The first year I was there, I was starting out, and there was this guy, and he was in his about mid 70s,
Mhm.
and he had a pretty cool bike. It was a sit-up bike, but it had a full fairing and all this
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And I'm talking to him, and he's a super nice guy. And I'm like, hey, I'm doing the starting, and I'm just talking. I go, yeah, I'm Ken. He goes, I'm Ralph. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So anyway, we talk, and I take a couple of pictures with him, and I go back, and they're like, oh man. And I said, man, Ralph is nice. And they go, do you know who that dude is?
You're like,
I'm
it's
like-
Ralph.
I said, yeah,
That's fucking Ralph over there, man.
Yeah, that's Ralph Hudson.
yeah.
And they go, that's the fastest man in the world on a sit-down motorcycle. And I'm like, what? And they go, about 6 months in Bolivia on that motorcycle, that sit-down motorcycle there, he did 304 miles per hour in
Wow.
Bolivia. And they're like,
Holy
so
shit.
the next time he comes around,
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, Ralph, you didn't tell me about this. And he goes, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I was pretty excited to finally get over 300 miles per hour. And he goes, but it sucked. On the way back, I only did 290. He was like 294. So my official record is 299 and a half miles per hour.
Wow.
Hold on.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
That man
like-
also deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess it just gives me something else to race for.
Well, and that's the other thing that was interesting to me is like you and I may go up there and I'm building a bike for one class and and
There's so many different classes. A few years ago, a guy came from Italy, flew all the way from Italy on a gas power with a gas powered bicycle.
Okay.
right up
Yeah.
your alley, Spanky. Right up your alley.
And
Yeah.
he went up there, and I think he broke the world record at 21 miles per hour. They let him start at the 1 mile line. So
yeah, 'cause
there's
they're
no
like-
run up.
Right. Right.
So
But
that's
it's so badass. People are like that. It's just those are the coolest people. The people
Yeah.
that are
yeah.
like,
yeah.
I
This
want to
is
go
my
do
Everest.
something.
I'm
that's
doing-
it.
they're
Exactly
doing it because they love it and
Yeah.
not for clout, not for they're not chasing anything. They're just
No.
they're
well. So Mickey Thompson famously was talking about that one time because he
Yep.
held the land speed record for a long time. He's like,
Yeah.
people know me for my valve covers, for my tires and stuff. They don't know me for, I think it's the Blue Flame car is what he ran. They don't know the fact I set a land speed record. I did that because I wanted to haul fucking ass on
Right.
assault.
Yeah,
And like, because he
that's
did,
it.
I think he did it at El Mirage and he did Bonneville because there's only a handful of places in the world you can do it at.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of places.
Yeah. It's,
There's Bonneville, Bolivia, and
Australia has one.
yeah, Australia.
Yeah, because David Freiberger from Hot Rod Magazine and Roadkill, that's who your koozies from, he's done several campaigns with different cars because they'll change
Yeah.
the motor and they'll go for this record 1 year and all. But it's wild. Like, and So when you're doing the starting and all that stuff, are they push starting most of the motorcycles, or how's
No,
that work?
you don't. You know, I know you see a lot of that push start. Most
Okay.
of it isn't push start. They
Okay.
take off on their own
Okay.
accord.
And now then you think about the gearing of it, so it's taking
Yeah.
forever to really get there.
Well, so on the Salt, because it's hard to go fast on the Salt.
Now, why is that?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons. One is, but a big thing is the Salt does a lot of resistance.
Okay.
Like some people, if you're, they were talking about some guy, his tire pressure was about 10 psi low, and that cost him 5 miles per hour.
Wow.
Okay.
So I mean, there's just a lot to it. There's a lot of rolling resistance to it. You know, if you get a Hayabusa here, you may hit 200, but there you may hit 185, 190.
Well, and then wind, because you're out in the middle of
You're in the middle of a
bowl.
You're in the luckily wind isn't horrible.
Okay.
This year we had some crazy storms come up this year, but it was still great racing.
And
Man, it was awesome.
did it rain? Was it last year it rained real hard out there?
Last 2 years.
Okay.
The first year, so the BMST, the Bonneville motorcycle races,
Right.
usually is 2 weeks after Speed Week. And that way we can utilize the same track and and try to preserve as much of the salts as we can.
Okay.
Because you do have to drag the salt to smooth it out and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
So we try to use the same track. And a couple of years ago, Speed Week, they started it and then it rained and then they had to shut down. Last year, there was a hurricane in California, if you can believe that.
Right.
I
Right.
remember that.
And the rain hit they were starting the tracks on Tuesday
Okay.
to prepare them. The rain hit Monday night and
fuck.
flooded, and they had to cancel it 2 days before
Wow.
they started.
So when you're up there, are you camping on the lake the entire time?
No, most people don't. We have a couple of people that bring campers, and it's really for night security to make sure there's somebody out there.
Right.
We stay in Wendover.
Okay.
So there's a little town, maybe 15 miles away.
All right.
Well, most of us stay at a motel. If you volunteer, because it's all, you have to have the volunteers
You have
to
to be
run
able to
it.
make
Right,
this work.
right.
Yeah.
So, and it takes 30, 40 volunteers to run this event. So when you volunteer, you get a free motel room.
Okay.
in
I'm
Wendover.
liking this a lot.
Right.
You get
Yeah.
free motel room, per diem for dinners, and lunch on the track.
Oh wow.
And Delvine does that because you have to have those volunteers or
Right,
nobody
right.
can race.
Yeah, that was something that when I used to drag race a lot, there was a lot of guys that they have the track guys that work there, but then you have the guys that are the grassroots guys that
And-
help and push cars when they're breaking the water
Yeah,
box and shit
yeah.
like that.
Well, really, for us, the volunteers are, you think about that the track is 7 miles long.
that's a long
So,
distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
You've
have
gotta
to have somebody at least every mile
Right.
to keep, so people know. So we're like, bike by 5, bike by 6. That way they know where the bike is.
Yeah.
Because in
If
between
something-
miles, you can't see it from,
Yeah, so
you can't see it out there.
so from the starting line, how far out can you visually see from where your stance is?
You can. So they have tents every mile because
Right.
the spotters sit there. So
Right.
you can see the tent kind of.
The first mile tent?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can see about 1 mile of tent.
Yeah.
But the bikes are small, and typically you can only see those maybe a half to 3/4 of a mile. And then they start blending
Yeah, and
into
that's
the
pretty much
background.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then the next guy can pick him up and watch him.
Yeah. And then also, it's got to be blindingly very, like, with the sun reflection off that.
It is a little bright.
Yeah.
You want to bring some
Yeah.
sunscreen.
I feel like- well,
I'll
and that-
tell you. And you want to put it on your legs too, because that sun reflects off the salt.
Yeah.
It's just like
And
being on.
there's-
It's like being on the lake, being on the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
You'll
People
see
don't
that
realize
are
it comes.
their faces are pale because they put it on, and their legs are burned all to hell.
Yeah.
So I was watching Freiberger had done a documentary about trying to reach a certain mile per hour goal, and he was like interviewing this guy that's one of the Speed Week guys, and he was talking to him, and I'm like, God, that guy looks so fucking goofy with all this fucking sunscreen on his face, and I'm sitting over there going, I'd have to wear a
Oh,
goddamn
yeah.
tent
Oh,
around
yeah.
myself the
Yeah.
whole time.
It's
If
People walking
you've never
around-
been to like Florida where it's white sand beaches,
yeah,
yeah, no, it
Or
will sunburn you
the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Or
and
like in snow skiing.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll
I've never
reflect
done
off
that
the
one, but
snow, and
Yep.
yeah, it'll burn the hell out of you.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
So when we started talking about it, I was like, man, I really want to like that. Just the thought of going out to Bonneville is just immensely insane.
I'm down for volunteering. I just need to
So-
know dates so I can put it in January.
Speed Week happens.
So it's typically the last weekend in August.
yeah,
In the
Yeah,
beginning
hotter
of
yeah,
than
it's
hell.
September.
really fucking hot.
Hotter than hell
It
week.
is. It is a little warm out there, but
Yeah.
it's not as bad as you think.
So what was
I mean,
it
it's
this
not
year?
that bad. This year is pretty damn nice.
Okay.
The first
you go
couple of
ahead.
days,
We've got
it was
plans
like
for next year.
100.
Yeah.
It was like 101 while they were doing the track, but while we were there, it was in the low 90s, and it wasn't bad at all. Because
Yeah.
in the shade, it's dry, so
Yeah.
it's not like
Right,
Yeah, it's
right,
not
right,
humid.
right.
So
yeah.
when you're in the shade, you're like, oh, this ain't so bad.
Yeah. And
It's
fans.
so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 108, and we were riding bicycles
Yeah,
this
fucking-
August. The
I ain't
last
gonna
weekend
do
I was-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I highly suggest no one does it.
I gotta say, Bonneville is probably my favorite thing I do in a year. I
s-
love it.
I know a lot of different events. Like there's so many different car shows and motorcycle events and all that stuff, and everybody always looks forward to one event. And Bonneville has been on my bucket list of things to do.
Yeah.
But like most people that you meet have either never heard of it or it's like an antidote in the back of their brain.
It is.
And everyone I know that's ever actually done it, I've communicated with a lot of guys on Instagram or Facebook that do go or have gone, and they're like, "You got to go every fucking year."
And and this is a real legitimate event. The AMA is out there.
Yeah.
FIM is out there. So when you get a number one plate, if you
Right.
beat an AMA, you get a bona fide world record when you race at Bonneville.
Yeah, and
So they're out there. It's because like Speed Week is a club event.
Right.
So when you get it, you get a club record.
Right.
But
right.
but BMST is world.
world records.
It is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
sanctioned event.
So, just if you were curious, if you had like a Yamaha or a 50cc buddy or an old Kawasaki police bike, if I wanted to just go up there and run it, is it?
Yeah.
Are
So
you
that's the way
going
to
for
do
the
it.
world's slowest
Yes,
KCP?
No,
yeah, that's what I'm
no.
thinking.
Because I think you
Yeah.
got that this weekend.
Fuck off.
That's called run what you brung.
Okay.
You can ride anything you want out there.
Okay.
You can. It's called run with your brung. You're not
Right.
doing a record or
Right,
anything like
right.
that. You just. You have to safety wire it. You got to
Yeah.
prep
Okay.
it for the salt.
Right.
But you can go out there and ride whatever the hell you want, as
Okay.
long as it's a motorcycle.
And then, what kind of safety gear do they require? A fire suit or?
You have to wear leathers.
Okay.
You have to
leathers.
have full leathers, one single unit. They can zip together, but it has to be a head to toe
Right,
unit.
right.
Okay.
You have to wear gauntlet gloves. You have to wear, boots, and you have to wear an approved helmet.
Okay.
An approved helmet is just one that meets all the
DOT.
safety. Yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
I want a Snell or like an ECE
Yeah.
one that's rated a little
Yeah.
nicer.
So
but
Yeah,
you
I
can
mean-
do
maybe
that.
an airbag vest, but
So a couple of years ago, some guy was riding across country on his Harley, and he just happened to be, see a bunch
Right.
of bikes. He rides
He's
onto the salt to see what's up.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, and he's like, "Man, I'd sure love to ride this." All the guys got together. They pulled his bike into the pits. They safety wired it for him.
holy shit.
They let him borrow.
Wow.
They went around and found leathers for him, and he raced his Harley on the salt. He did like 115 on his Harley.
That could be you, Spanky.
It's-
not you, but it could
Yeah.
be you.
But
Yeah.
it's
I can get there. 7 miles, I could get there.
oh yeah. But the point isn't just that they're on the salt. It's how cool these people are.
Yeah.
community.
No,
Yeah.
They
absolutely.
really are.
That,
Man,
that would be cool.
they'll share parts. They'll
Yeah.
come work on your bike. They
So-
do not care. They're just happy to be out there, and everybody's out there racing together.
And that, so I was wondering that too, is like, yeah, hold on just a second. Let me get the question out first and I'll let you answer it. It's like, the beer fridge is open. Hold on, let me do this. Okay, so there's a lot of sanctioning bodies that say the three of us were out there and say you're racing, your BMW thing, or
Yeah.
you're racing this Yamaha and I'm over here racing this Harley, whatever you're going to try to do. So there's a lot of places that you can't do all the sharing of parts and all that stuff, right? But on Bonneville, for you guys, for the Speed Week, or not Speed Week, but for the motorcycle event, it is open where you can, as a community, like you can pit with that guy or you can go over and help and everything.
It is.
There's no restrictions.
So, really the way to think about it is nobody's racing against each other.
Right.
They're
right.
racing against the salt, and they will do. They're just racing against the salt. If you help somebody,
Right.
Somebody else race, they don't care. It's all about. It's just everybody's working together to win out there.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, there's a guy. He was racing he's in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And his engine blew up. One of the other teams that was going for the same record he was gave him their extra engine, helped him install it, and then watched him and cheered him on when he beat their record.
Wow.
I mean, they just
Holy
don't
fuck.
care.
That's awesome.
That is just, it's...
Yeah,
'cause they're like,
yeah.
you beat my record? Well, it gives me something to go for next year.
Well,
They say you don't get a record there. You just borrow one for a while.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So that was so growing up with top fuel cars and stuff like that with NHRA. Like there was a 200-mile-an-hour club and the 300-mile-an-hour club, and so you're at the event. You're in the 32-car field. You're trying, or 16-car field. Sorry, well, it's 32 cars total. But you're all trying to beat each other. But then somebody blows their motor, and round 2. Well, I went out round 3, so now you can just here's the shit. Let's get you done.
There you go.
And that was something I was wondering too. Is like if we just showed up with my motorcycle trailer on the back of my truck, and I've got my 10x10 campy and all that stuff. It's gonna look like we don't know what the fuck we're doing because we don't. First year we don't.
most
But-
of
yeah.
us don't.
Yeah.
yeah, but I didn't know if it was kind of it didn't sound like it was very clicky where it's like
Oh, no.
yeah.
If you showed up out there and just said, "Man, I'd sure like to ride. I don't know what I'm doing." Man, somebody go, "Well, come on.
Yeah.
I'll show you."
Bring me
I
a
mean,
beer.
there-
Let me
there's
show
a-
you how to do
yeah.
this. Yeah.
There's a team out there, and they're kind of the heart of. They've been around with the whole team. They're called Social Distortion. They're out of the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Nice.
And-
Big fans of the band.
Social
or?
D. Yeah. yeah.
There you go.
Some eggs, bitch. Yeah.
And
I was wrong.
But man, there's like 20 people. Just people pit with them from different parts of the country, and they kind of meet this group, and they all pit together.
Right.
They share tools and knowledge and help each other get going. I mean, it's really cool.
And so that was one thing I experienced when I was drag racing a lot was that I did not have a trailer at the time. I drove my car down and my dad would drive his truck down. So me and the wife would be in the car and it would be us over here in this little grass pit. And we were over here doing the best we could with my hand tools I had. And you had the guy that pulled in Aaron Tatum. He'd have his double stacker with his 2 Super Comp dragsters on it and his golf cart and all this shit. And I remember I fried the wiring harness in my car one night. And I'm pushing this thing back from the time slip booth. And he was like, "Do you want me to pull you with my golf cart?" It's like, no, man, it's fine. It'll start in a second. It's really fucking hot. It's fine. It probably sees the bearing or some shit. I got to drive it back home. And he was like, do you need a ride back home? I was like, I'm not putting my piece of shit Volvo in your fucking... Your trailer costs more than my father's house. Like, no. But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's a lot of different variety of, team sizes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
What are... Most
There's
commonly,
a lot of solos out there. Just
Really?
a couple of there's people that just came in with one bike and
Okay.
Maybe they drove together. I mean, I mean, don't think of it like some huge deal.
Okay,
This is most of these people here are people building shit out of their garage.
which is the fucking
That's
coolest.
what it is.
Right,
I mean,
right,
and
right.
I mean
Yeah.
seriously, they're just I want to race in Bonneville. I want to build something in Bonneville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, they'll spend the weekends and nights and extra money, building this bike just so they can race. There's a movie called, a documentary called Out of Nothing.
Hold on, before I forget that shit, I'm gonna write that down, right?
And
Out of
it's about 3 guys, and it follows 3 guys from they're out of the Sodium Distortion team.
Social distortion or
Sodium.
okay.
Sodium
All right.
Distortion. And it follows them as they live their regular life, and then at night build these bikes just to race out there.
That's wild.
And but that's what most of these people are. One of the girls that showed up this year, she was building an electric bike and she couldn't get it done in time.
Okay.
So she showed up anyway, and she spent the first 5 days in the pits getting this bike together.
Wow.
I love it.
On the last day, she finally got everything, and she was going for 45 miles per hour.
Okay.
And she did like 110. She was like
Wow.
blown away.
Yeah.
But
all
she
right.
built it. She built it on she finished putting it together on the salt. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
That's
Yeah, there's
awesome.
some kick-ass people
Yeah.
out there.
So that was from the car side of things, since that was where I didn't know the motorcycle was so far. You had your own event and all that stuff. From the car side of things, like I know all those guys are really pitched in because there's a lot of guys that have gotten back into the, SoCal Speed Shop had the bomber bodies and all that stuff, and those are starting to come back into resurgence again. You saw them in the early 2000s, but a lot of those guys are starting to build, classic cars to go out there and start doing that one again. And they're talking about how, I'm in LA and I've got like 2 days left until the event. I got about 4 days worth of work left, and I'm going to go up there and finish the car up there and get it done. But I blown away by that kind of community of that.
It's amazing.
And then just I was curious because I didn't ask this the other night because I was going to bring you on and talk about it. But like, just run what you brung, being able to go up there and go, I made a pass.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people just want to ride because. So here's the deal.
I mean,
I've
just being
never
able to
ridden on the
say-
Salt. I've been there 4 years, but I haven't ridden on the Salt. And I've had an opportunity, but for me, and this is, just my personal deal.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to just ride anything. It's got to be, I want to ride something that I built.
Right. 100%.
Because to me, that's the whole
Right.
challenge.
It's got to be
for me
something
personally.
that means something.
So this year I'll be building, I was going to build a speed triple, but
you don't have to. You can.
Somebody lost parts of my motor, so I'm on to, I have to do a different project.
I was like, we can just go ahead and just again. I'm already figuring out where I get a timestamp.
So here's so
See,
a
you
couple
can
of years
take your
ago,
little 80 out there.
Oh, so I had
do it.
So I had my first motorcycle I ever got.
Yeah.
My dad had a guy that he knew forever that was always into motorcycles, and my dad had a Yamaha 80cc whenever he was a kid, and it was behind his garage forever. And I kept going, I really want this thing. And then his buddy had like a full bike, and I bought it, and I've had that bike since I was 10. And I'm like,
dang.
God, it's in my shed right now. I'm like, oh man, you know what? We could do that.
Yep.
The fast guy on the small CC.
Yeah, there you go.
Chubby Boy Magic.
So speaking of that, there's a guy named Fran Carpio. He's on YouTube too, and he's a nut. And we're all just kind of walking around the pits, and you hear this weird sound coming down the Salt. And I looked over there, and there's a dude on a stand-up scooter hauling ass down the Salt. He made a pass on a stand-up scooter at 90 miles per hour.
It's one of those race ones.
No, it's something he built.
Okay.
I mean, he built
okay.
it from scratch.
Just describe stand-up scooter for the people that do,
So-
I don't quite
Like the kind like the Lime scooters that
So
you see.
Is that what you're talking about?
Imagine a Lime scooter with bigger wheels and a motorcycle engine.
Yeah.
And he was
Fucking
doing 90.
here for it.
And he's just laughing his ass off. And he was like,
Yeah.
He's laughing his ass off, going, well, it was pretty scary.
Well, okay, so that was one of the things with the scooters. Like
He always does something wild, though.
so every year he's doing something fucking ridiculous.
I think that's just who he is.
Yeah.
He's a nut. He's great.
Yeah, he's like, could I strap a J2 rocket to my back, put a skateboard underneath me, and see if I can beat that record?
There was that guy that was doing that with the jet engines.
Yeah.
It's bewildering to me that people will just build whatever they want to build.
Yeah.
And then also, so if you were suggesting someone like, not us, like, because, I would want to go out there and just do like the run what you brung. But do you tell them to either they have a bike, go find what that bike would fit class wise, or go pick a mile per hour?
What I would do is it depends on what you want to do. Are you trying to do something with what you got, or, or start from scratch?
Honda
So you
Elite
can
scooter.
go. You can go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
You
got
can
one in
go
the
to
shed.
BonnevilleMST.com and look under records. And when you go to the AMA records, it goes to this website. It goes to the Bonneville MST. That's the website for the races. And look at all the races, or look at all the records and stuff like that. Some of them are open. I mean, like there may be something that's open, and you go out there, and if you finish, you've broken a world record. There's not a lot of those left over.
I'm betting there's not a lot, but you can probably figure it out.
A couple of years ago, I was like, man, there's not a lot of sidecars. I bet I could get out there with a sidecar and break a record. This year, there was a lot of sidecars. And I think, fuck, other people had that idea too.
Yeah.
But so you go out there and decide.
They saw fucking Sidecar Pluto and some other
Yeah,
guy.
there you go.
Some guy at Instagram. Yeah.
And so you can look at the records and kind of see what you want to do. Like there's some guys that go out there and find a 70 this one guy found a 70s Suzuki
Okay.
and was like, I think I can break the record with this Suzuki. So he went out there and did a little bit of work on it. And he did. He broke a record with it. But you go out there, you look at the records, you kind of decide what fits you. And then you go to the regulations, which is on the same website,
Okay.
how to prep your bike. There are safety stuff.
The light bulb's going off.
Oh, I was
And
like,
then,
what are you trying to say? I was like, do you want this
And then,
noise or like?
The light bulb
There
is
you go.
going
So
off.
you do that, and then you go out there and try it.
Well, and so that was the hardest thing when I was drag racing was like I had a weird combination of a car that I was like, it was my street car, so I didn't know what. And I was like,
Yeah,
went down the tech, and I was like, because you tech when you come in, you're like, all right, your battery's not loose, you got brake fluid, tires are all round and have air in it. And then it got further into the rule book, and I'm like, well, what class am I in? And they're like, well, you could run like 8 different classes if you want to. Whatever you want to run. And then they're like, if you run this class, it's going to really suck for you. If you run this class, you're probably going to beat everybody. So you might be in this one. And so you kind of figure that out. But so you can go on and look at the rule book and kind of figure what class you might be into.
You can look at the records and see
Right.
what you want to go for.
Okay. And then, so at that point, so say you've got about roughly a year.
Yeah.
In theory,
Yeah.
now and then, is there a
11 months.
yeah,
yes.
sure. He's already been looking at his phone so much. So, is there before you get out to the salt? Is there a email contact or someone you can go? Hey, I want to know that before I get there, this is roughly what I'm going to be with. Or how does that work?
Well, you can email Delvine, but she's she's busy kind of getting it going.
Right,
There
right.
is kind of and not in a bad way. There is kind of like, that's your bike, it's your rules. You've got to figure this out.
Okay.
But if you get on the website or if you get on we have a Facebook page, you can get
Right,
on it and
right.
talk to other people and
Kind of figure that out.
everybody's pretty nice about if you kind of follow it, see who's there and just ask for help
All right.
and kind of see who's been there. You can see who's been there the last couple of years and
Kind of figure
that
it out.
kind of tells you
Yeah.
know who to reach to. I mean, like I said, most of these people, it's not like the rules are so hard.
Okay.
There's just
Right,
things like,
right.
you need a safety wire, get your oil reservoir bolts, stuff
right.
like that. You have to have a metal frame over your chain guard. I mean, you have to have special fuel lines. So even if you have a stock bike, you still have to change for these safety.
Okay.
Right,
But
right.
it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
that hard.
That's what I was wondering too. Is like when you build for a rulebook car, like trying to make sure that you're within Smokey Yernick. When he was doing all the NASCAR stuff, he's like 7/8 Chevelle, where he's like, oh yeah, like this car's right, slightly smaller,
Yeah.
and like you're trying to figure out the rule book and try to not necessarily cheat the rule book, but like get you the best advantage for yourself.
Push
when
it
you get out
as
there.
far as you can.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
people do that all the time.
Yeah.
Even if
It's
you've
like
got
when
a
they were
production bike.
Running the bigger fuel line, so it was holding 5 gallons more
Yeah.
fuel.
Yeah, they used to run an 1.5 inch fuel line from the fuel tank up to the carburetor because it held 5 gallons of
more.
fuel.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
So they took the
And
fuel
they were
tank
like,
out to
"How
check
are
it."
you finishing when we're all not?"
Yeah, and then take the fuel tank out, and they're like, "All right, cool, we'll fuel cell," and they take it out, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna measure it," and he goes, "All right, I'll see you in the pits," and fucking drives away on the fuel in the lines.
yeah.
Because he had like 2-3 gallons left
Oh
in the
my
ride.
God.
So when you're looking, so how does that work? When you pull up, so say I take, a Honda Elite 150 scooter. That's what
Yeah.
we're looking at.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we take that, and so do you tech inspect the first day?
So yeah, the first day is always tech inspect. They go
Right.
through. If you're going for a record, they make sure that you're, record. So if you're going on production or something like that, you can't change. You can change the frame a little bit,
Okay.
but not much.
Mhm.
So they make sure it's within parameters. They make
Right,
sure all the
right.
safety stuff is in place. Make sure if you're running race gas, they make sure you've got everything is secure and everything's right.
Okay.
So anyway, and then you do your run. If you break a record going down the track, then you go into what is called impound. And you go into impound because you can't you can't mess with your bike at all in between runs.
Okay.
So a record is let me go back a second. If you break a record, you have to go one way and break the record, and then you have to go the opposite direction, and then they average those two speeds, and that's your maximum speed.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay. So and we talked about this because is it 3 mile and then 7 mile?
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 5, and 7.
3, 5, and 7. Okay, so say you go out there and you do, because the 7 is the record breaker, or does it matter?
No, all of them are.
Okay.
It's just the speeds of the bikes.
So if you go out, I've always wondered this too, because when they say you have to go run it back,
Yeah.
so you go out 3 miles, you do a loop and then come back?
No, so what it is, let's say you're going for the 200 mile per hour record.
Okay.
Okay, so you're on the long 7 mile track.
Right.
So you make your run. Let's say the record is 201 miles per hour.
Okay.
You go down, you go 202 miles per hour. So now you're eligible to break that record.
All right.
Because you've already broken it going this way.
Right.
Yes, sure.
Then you go to impound.
Okay.
And then you can't touch your bike. And this is so AMA and FM are there to make sure nobody messes with the bike. You can't even add fuel or anything. And then you have to, for a world record, you have to do your pass back within 2 hours.
Okay.
So you have to make your run back, and that gives people time for the bike to cool down and
Okay.
stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
And then you make your pass back. If you're doing an AMA, you just have to do it in the same day.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then you go straight from impound to the starting, going the opposite direction. And then you race, go in the opposite direction.
Okay. So are there 2 courses technically then?
No, it's the same course. You're
Okay.
running the same course, but you have starters going the regular way,
And then
you
starters
have the
going the opposite.
record.
Right.
If you're running
Okay,
for a record, you have starters going the opposite
So
direction.
you do get to the end from this. So you start at the south end, for instance,
Yeah.
just for layman's terms. So start at the south end, you go up there, you go to impound, you have beat that record, or you're open to beat that record.
Right.
You're impound there, and then you run literally from north end back to south end.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you're not running for a record, do you still run back?
Now, if
You
you're not
just-
running for a record, you just go around, kind of run
Yep.
it again.
Yeah.
The return runs are only for records.
okay.
Okay.
And then so for the return record
Yeah.
runs, are you guys going back to where you start at originally?
Well, no, you're just running you're doing the exact same race,
Okay.
just the opposite direction on the
Okay.
course.
Okay.
That's it.
And did they clear everybody out for whenever they're coming back the other
Yeah.
way? Okay, just in case shit
Yeah,
goes.
nobody's on the track
Okay.
when they do that. And then, so let's say you break the record, okay?
Right.
Your second run is faster and you break the record. Then you go back to impound, and then they confirm your bike to make sure it's completely legal. You can't, if you go back to the pits, if you go anywhere besides impound,
DNF,
you're
yeah.
It's null and void.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to go directly to impound, and then they make sure everything's legal on it. But then they have to confirm that your CCs are right, because you're running based on your CCs.
Right.
Ah,
So
okay.
if you're running a 50, you have to have 50 or less CCs on it. If
Okay.
you have 51 CCs, you didn't
You're
get
going
the
back
record.
to SoCal from yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to, and they do that by taking your engine apart. And then they take your engine apart and measure your cylinders and your pistons
Okay.
to make sure the CCs are right. And as long as everything's good, then you have a record. Now, let's say you want to keep trying to build that record,
Right.
they
Okay.
seal your engine. They paint your engine so that they know if you've taken it apart.
Okay.
So they seal your engine. So let's say you think you can do better than 200 on your next pass.
So they don't crack it open every time.
Right.
Yeah.
So they seal your engine so they know that it's secure.
Okay.
And then you keep running.
Can you change the oil?
Not in between.
So
You
when-
can change your oil, just not in between
Okay.
runs.
So once they've sealed it.
So
Can you
once
change
you're
it?
out of
Okay.
Yeah.
once you're out of impound, you can do whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can change your oil, add gas once you're out of impound, because their main thing is making sure that you don't mess with the engine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
and then once you're in so when you're in an impound, you plan for, okay, I use this much fuel to go 3,
Yes.
5, 7 miles, and then you have to double that. Don't worry about it. We'll get somebody to take care of that coaster in a second. But so you have to double your fuel quantity that you're carrying on board the motorcycle or the scooter or whatever, because you're going to do that round or that race back again.
Yeah.
So how many times have you seen people in your time about being out there? Like, have you seen them go out, make the first one, oh shit, they broke the record, and then run out of fuel in the second pass?
Nobody. I've never
Okay,
seen it.
I was wondering.
I've never seen
Does
it.
it
Let
happen?
me put it that way. I've never heard of it happening.
I feel like that would be a thought process beforehand, but I also forgot to sleep my back.
Mainly because people that are genuinely going for a record, they kind of plan ahead. For
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure they probably have that down where
Yeah.
it's like, to make 2 passes, I need exactly 1.2 gallons
Of
Yeah.
fuel. Yeah.
of fuel, and I'm probably going to put in 1.3 or
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, and here's the thing: is that the weight of the bike doesn't make that much, so you
Oh, really?
can put in plenty of gas.
Okay.
okay,
And the reason is because it's not like a drag race where you're
Yeah.
right,
trying to get there as
right.
quick as you can. When like on the 7-mile track,
Mhm.
you have 3 miles to get up to speed,
Okay.
and then you have a mile that goes through the timing lights, and then you have 3 miles to slow down. So it's not about acceleration. It's
Okay.
just about getting to top speed.
Oh.
So it's not about the weight on
Okay.
these. Now it's not like you're not wanting
Right,
to put
right,
barbells on
right.
it or
Yeah.
anything,
Or like
but-
lead weight.
yeah, but it doesn't make any difference. Like people, if you're doing a drag race, you might want to put lightweight wheels on
Yeah,
it.
right.
But on the salt, lightweight wheels will ruin your traction. So
yeah, I didn't really think about that.
so you're not.
Okay.
Some people actually add weight to the bottom to get traction on the rear tire on the
Okay.
salt.
Huh.
yeah.
So you're not trying to just do the minimum mile. You'll probably fill up your tank to make sure you've got plenty of gas.
I didn't think about that for the
Yeah.
traction part of it.
Yeah.
And also, what kind of tires are they running? Like super slicks or?
If you ask 20 people, you'll get 20 different answers.
Okay.
Some people run
right.
street tires. Some people run, they want something for traction.
right.
Okay.
Some the guys going really fast, they like to go slicks just because it's less rolling resistance
That's what I
on
was
the
wondering
salt.
about that too.
Right.
So, I mean, people have different. So if you're running a short track,
Mm-hmm.
then you may want to get, you may want to worry about traction.
Okay.
But if you've got 3 miles of, lead up to
Yeah.
your timing mile,
Right,
you got time.
right.
You're worried more about rolling resistance.
Okay. Yeah, because you're trying to get to the timing light.
Yeah.
So, and then also on the timing light, so on like the 7-mile course, it's from mile 4 to 5.
Yes.
And that is where you're setting that mile per hour.
That is so they time you going through.
Okay.
You get since it is a world record and
Right.
that they have the flying kilometer and then the mile.
Okay.
So you have a kilometer, your average kilometer and then an average mile. And
Okay.
it just measures your time from this to that.
Okay.
And then it gives you your speed.
Wow.
Math.
I want to go. I want to
then,
either volunteer or
No, you
it'd be
gotta
fun.
volunteer.
It would be fun to go to volunteer
Yeah.
and actually
Watch it happen.
watch it, and then
The volunteers where it's at because you get
Yeah.
to see and you get
And
to meet these cool
yeah,
ass
and then
people.
Yeah.
then that gives time to figure out something and
Yeah,
build
what you wanna
something, and then
build.
go volunteer the next year, and then be like, hey, I'll be right back and run what.
Oh,
you
that's a
brung.
good question. Can
Yeah.
you volunteer and also run?
A lot of people do.
Okay. I didn't know if
Yeah.
that was a,
No,
hard-
that's cool. They don't
Okay.
care because people can,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
5 days. Not everybody can be there the whole time.
right.
So people kind of come in and go, and they'll
Okay.
volunteer when they help. If they're not racing, like some people, they'll do run what you brung, but they just do that for one day. and
Right,
then they
right.
volunteer.
And then also, so how do they have a from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. Do you need another one?
Nope.
Okay. So from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. they're running these classes and doing all that stuff.
Nope.
Or is it just
Yeah,
whoever's
see,
at the front?
We get there. The volunteers get there at 6 a.m.
Okay.
and watching the salt come up over the sun come over the
That's gotta be
salt
beautiful.
is one of the coolest. I mean, every damn morning I take pictures. I'm
Yeah.
like, I got 50 pictures of the same view.
So
But
we're gonna
every
need one of
morning it's
those.
so beautiful. But anyway, so you get up there and then you start seeing all the bikes come. You see it's still dark and all the headlights of all these bikes coming in,
Right.
getting ready to race. And then you just get there and you get your bike ready. And, some of them, like especially Run With You Brung, they might run early because they don't have as much prep.
yeah.
Right.
Like some of the world record guys, their bikes take a lot of prep. Like one of them, he has to put ice in the tank, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, it's not just a start it up and go.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
some of them take a little bit of work when you put that much into these bikes. It's pretty amazing.
So you were telling me that you used to, before starting, so you used to be around the course at different spots, right?
Well, no, when I started my first year, knowing Sherry,
Okay.
I got looped into on the fast bike. So
Okay.
I've been there the whole time until this year.
Okay. So where were you at this year?
Well, this year I was volunteering, so I was at
okay.
the which is kind of the only cool thing about I like being at the starter because you get to talk to everybody.
Right, right.
But this was the first time I was at the mile, so I got to see people tucked in and going.
So you were at mile marker 1?
This year since I was volunteering, I was by the tower.
Okay.
I was by the pits and the tower and
Okay.
doing administrative stuff.
Yeah, all the not fun part of it, but the fun part. So, because I was thinking about like, what is a good? Can spectators just?
You can.
Okay, so you can go to like mile marker 3 and watch from there.
You can't go to the mile markers. You can watch from the pits.
Okay.
And the reason is just because you can't. If something were to go wrong,
Yeah.
you do not want that many people there.
Yeah.
Now,
So you can hang out by the pits.
Okay.
There's people that come in and they check it out. They watch some of the races, get to meet some of the racers and watch the bikes. I mean, it's pretty cool.
now, how wide is the race course for this too?
Say that again.
How wide is the race course?
You know, I don't know.
I was wondering.
It's really wide.
Yeah, like
I mean, it's at least 30, 40 yards.
Oh wow, it is very wide. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, because obviously you're going that distance, but like,
Yeah.
so if something happens, if you have a catastrophic failure, for instance, you pull off
I
the
bet
course.
it's. I bet it's equivalent to a runway. Would be-
Probably. That would make
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
probably
bet. I bet.
right.
I bet
Fast
it's.
and Furious level
I
of
bet
runway.
it's equivalent to the
I
width,
bet you're right.
width of a runway
Okay.
because you've got enough that.
Yeah.
You can get off of it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if something happens at mile 2, what happens? If you break the bike?
So if something were to happen,
Okay.
let's say as long as it's not a crash, let's say your bike blows up
Mechanical,
or something
yeah,
mechanical,
yeah.
something like that, whatever. You pull off to one side of the track.
Okay.
There's the mountain side and then the highway side.
Okay.
And so if there's a problem, you pull off to the highway side. That way they know there's actually a problem.
Okay.
They send out the rescue crews and they shut down all the tracks until they know what's up. I mean, even if it's because we don't know what's going on. So,
Right, right.
I mean, it could be somebody having a heart attack on their bike because they're having so much fun.
Right.
I don't know. But anyway, you pull
Yeah.
but you pull off to the highway
Yeah.
side, and
Hold
then
on,
they
I'll be
send
back in just a
everybody
Yeah.
to make sure that everything's cool.
Hold
Oh.
on. Keep going.
Oh, keep going? All right.
Hold on, but keep going.
There you go. If
Got the-
everything
he's got the bladder of a little girl.
if everything's good, you pull off to the mountainside. And that way everybody knows everything's good, and then they know the next racer can get ready to race.
Right. Right. Okay. And then they sit out. So do the teams go out and capture them, or do they have like a capture team that will go in and pull them back in?
Some of the bikes they can ride back to the pit themselves.
Right.
Some of them are specialty bikes and they have to be picked up.
Okay.
So, the race teams will go pick up the bikes and stuff like that. And it runs pretty good. I mean, they've been doing
They've been
our
doing it
20
for
years.
Yeah,
This
I was
is
about to
20
say they've been doing it
So
for a long time.
Now it's BMST, Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials. It started as Bub Speed Trials. And Dennis Manning was kind of the infamous Dennis Manning.
Right.
He just wanted a land speed race. He started with Harley back in the 70s, and he's a self-taught engineer and designer and built just from his head streamliners.
Right.
And took Harley to a world record back in I think it was 1970. And then he wanted to do it himself. And then he started building his own streamliners.
Yeah.
And then he started this motorcycle event. And like I said, it was called Bub for years. And Delvine worked at Bub Exhausts
Okay.
and was his daughter-in-law.
Right.
And so Dennis had the idea and Delvine ran it.
Okay.
And so she ran it for years. And then, they got divorced, and then Bub went out of business. They closed their doors. And Dennis just wanted to keep all he wanted to do is build streamliners.
That's
Right.
cool.
So he sold it to Delvine, and she took it over, and she's been running it ever since.
That's crazy.
And then she married a dude that races also.
Okay.
And Lucas.
Right.
and she runs everything, and he runs the track.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a cool. They do it
Yeah,
together. now.
yeah.
But it's all nonprofit too. That's
well,
matter
501(c)(3). Yeah.
no, I mean I think they just don't make a profit.
Yeah.
They do it out of love.
yeah.
And,
They're like,
no,
we
there's
don't have
not-
a fucking committee of people like
There's
that.
not
yeah.
it's not tax exempt. It's
Yeah,
just there's
yeah,
no money.
yeah.
In it. They
Yeah.
do it out of pure love of racing.
One thing I was wondering about too was, so do they groom the track between, and also, so, side note, are there several different tracks for the mile length?
There's two.
Okay.
There's two tracks. There's the mountain track and the international track. And
Okay.
the mountain track is because it's on the side where the mountains are.
Right.
so there's
And
right.
that's the 3 mile and the 5 mile.
Okay.
And the 3 mile. So the reason why there's tracks like this is the 3 mile. If you've never been on the Salt, you have to start on the 3 mile.
That was the other
Right,
question.
right.
So you got to show that you can race it.
Yeah.
If you're going to go over 125 miles an hour, then you're going to go to the 5 mile track.
Okay.
And once you pass the 3 mile, then you can go to the 5 mile. If you're going to go over, once you do that, if you go over 170 or 175, then you go to the big track.
Okay, so there are three.
International. There's
Right.
3 tracks.
Oh, three. Okay.
But there's 2 tracks, but there's 2 tracks on the 5 mile. The 3 and the 5
Okay.
are on the same track.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
And then the 7 mile is on its own track.
Okay.
Although this year they had a 7 and a 5, so they had 2 5 mile tracks.
Oh.
Okay.
So the 3 and the 5 are the same.
Because the 5 is the busiest track.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
that makes sense.
So, and then, okay, so say you take out a bike in theory that's going to do 190,
Yeah.
and this is your first time you ever going to be on the Salt.
You still have to start on the small track.
You still have to start on the 3.
You're a newbie.
Do they tell you a mile per hour max that you can run on that and that you have to control, or?
125.
I do not.
Well, I was wondering.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No. I mean, yeah.
I actually don't know that question.
Okay.
However, on 3 miles, it's remember you
you're
only
go-
have 1 mile to get up to speed.
right.
Okay.
on the
So
3 mile
so you're
track.
really not
Yeah.
running low 100s.
Although there's Erin Sills. She is a racer extraordinaire, and this year she had a mishap.
Okay.
A gravitational mishap. But they said within 3/4 of a mile, she was already doing 140.
Oh, fuck.
wow. Holy shit.
So on a 3 mile course, you accelerate for a mile, and
Right.
it times you from mile 1 to 2.
Or, no, it times from 2 to 3.
Okay, some 2. Okay, so you
1 to
accelerate.
2 is run up, 2 to 3 is your time mile, and then you got your slowdown mile.
Okay. And then, so you're bringing out a bike. You always start on the 3 mile course, and then there's only theoretically how much time you have to get to
Right.
that acceleration. And then once you've proven that you can do that safely, I'm sure,
Yeah.
then you can move up to the 5 mile track, and then
Correct.
So then you have to go do the 5 mile, and then you can go to the 7 eventually.
Right. Now, once you've kind of proven yourself, I mean, you don't have to do that every year.
Okay. Right.
Once you
Right.
once
Right.
you've proven you can do the 170,
Yeah.
if you're building a 200-mile bike, you just go to the 170.
Okay. And then, are there licenses for this?
You have to be an AMA member,
Okay.
and then you do
Write that
have
down.
to.
Yeah.
You have to race. You have to be an AMA member.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, it's not like it's a test. You sign
Right.
up to be an AMA member.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're,
But you have to be an AMA member, and then you kind of get certified on each track.
okay. Yeah, because that was something that when I was looking at different, at Hallett and stuff like that, if you want to go run this car in this class, you have to have a racing license.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that. Is that you might be wanting to do Spec Miata, but you got to do, Spec Miata you can usually do. But if you want to go do like a GT3 car, you have to start
Right.
here and then work your way up and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And then, so full leathers,
Yeah.
a specified helmet, and then you can just go out there with run what you brung.
Yeah.
3 mile course.
Yeah.
And so that course,
People do it all the time. It's great.
I'm just like envisioning like my life.
That would be so much fun.
You could take the Softail.
No, I would build. I would.
Yeah,
no.
build something.
Next
I would build something.
next year will be my first
You know-
year
you know-
racing
yeah.
on the Salt.
If I could get that Benelli 250.
No.
Oh man, let me tell
No,
you.
no.
Okay, all right, hold
You
on.
think I'm joking?
Yeah.
No,
This
the
whole- there
wheels
was a
have
team
been
on-
the wheels have been turning.
There was a team from Italy this year that ran one.
Yeah.
A beautifully
late.
restored.
That's
Yeah.
because I was a while back was looking at a 60s Benelli 250
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was like,
you would not believe the bikes out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
There's some guys running on a lay down bike with a custom built suspension. They had two 80cc motors.
Wow.
And they built it, and they built two of them.
Right.
They were matching. I got pictures. I'll show you in a minute.
We're gonna need all those photos.
But it's so
for
cool.
scientific
Yeah.
reasonings.
It is. What people do in their garage is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna ask, did you watch the what was it, the last Indian? That
No,
was,
the world's fastest Indian.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I think-
Burt Monroe.
So you're
Yeah.
aware of the movie?
I am aware.
Did you see the movie before or after the first time at the Salts?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've always loved motorcycles. So
Yeah.
when that movie came
saw-
out, I gotta
Yeah.
see that.
I saw part of it. I was like,
I haven't seen it yet.
You gotta-
Was it Anthony Hopkins that put you to bed? What?
There's a
Yeah,
picture.
yeah.
There's a picture of Burt Monroe. So at night, there's a Carmen's a black and white club.
right.
So if you ever go to Wendover,
Okay.
it's a weird little town. On the Utah side,
Utah is a weird
Yeah.
just
Yeah, let's
place.
just-
on the Utah
Let's
side,
just-
there's two motels. There's a really good Mexican restaurant. And
They ship them in.
Carmen's Black and White Bar.
Okay.
And then you go down and
Go over on the
you
Nevada
can-
side.
Yeah, when you go to the Nevada side, you can tell when you're in Nevada because that's where there's a
Whores.
row of casinos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would
But
you like to lose all your money right now?
But we
Yeah.
all stay on the Utah side. But we go to the Carmen's Black and White every night. All the racers and volunteers.
Okay.
And that's where you go and you meet everybody. You mingle, and then you just meet the coolest people
Yeah.
in the world there.
How many
And-
people, realistically, just spectators, visitors, racers, and all, pit crew and all that? How many people usually are at this event?
So there's about 50 volunteers and staff and
Okay.
people doing that. And then I think this year we had 170 bikes,
Okay.
and then their teams.
Okay. So you
Okay.
extrapolate that
So
out.
you
you're
could
prob-
have maybe 500 to 1,000
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But I'd go closer to 500.
500.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was figuring three.
It's a pretty,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an intimate event, and it's really cool because, like, if you go to Speed Week, you're going to be waiting. If you get one run a day, you'd
That's
be
what
impressive.
I've heard. Yeah.
Right.
At BMST, you could run 10 times.
Wow.
You
There's
could
this-
run 10 times
I
at
know.
that Benelli.
There
Yeah.
was a girl a couple of years ago. She just had a street
Hey,
bike.
Mr. 80 Yamaha. Don't
Yeah.
be don't be hating.
She had a street, I think it was a Yamaha, and she just took off the front. She just made hot laps.
the whole time.
She would end the track and then ride to the beginning and
Yeah.
race again. I bet she did like 8-9 runs that.
See, that'd
a
be
day.
so much.
That's
That'd
what-
be fun.
Yeah. Like,
She was just having so much fun.
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
and well, the cool thing
And
is,
she was doing like 180
oh,
each
fuck.
run.
Yeah.
I mean, she ain't screwing around.
Yeah,
she,
she
was
was fucking
racing.
around. Yeah.
She was running.
She was fucking around and finding out. Yeah.
She wasn't going for a record, but she paid for a record because when you do run with your brung, you pay per pass.
Right.
Okay.
When you pay the extra and you're going for a record, you
Okay.
get as many as you want to run that. So she just paid for that and just kept doing hot laps. She was having a hell of a time.
Well, that was like when I used to go down to Thunder Valley, I'd go down on Test and Tune nights on Friday, and like I would
Yeah.
make like 30, 40 passes.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
get there at 7, and I think Thunder Valley closed at like maybe 11 or 12.
yeah.
I'd make a pass, go get my time slip, let the car cool down for about 5 minutes, and I'd go back in the timing line and then just be waiting. I'm like, I'm fucking getting my money.
Yeah.
I paid $10 being here. I'm getting my $10 out of this.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So before we're over, I just want to, we got to talk about the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride too. So,
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Hold on.
yes.
You want another beer?
I probably shouldn't.
Okay.
So yeah.
Let me just go ahead and fish it out in a little bit. Hold on.
No, it's okay. I'm
Right.
good.
Yes, I forgot. He is the
Right.
whenever a couple years ago, him and I were talking about how we wanted to do it, and we
Yeah.
went, "Who the fuck do we need to talk to?"
Right.
Our
I'm
buddies,
the guy.
our buddies in Dallas are the ones that do it,
Yeah.
and we talked to them, and they go, "Kent, that's who you need to talk to."
Right.
And they didn't say who the fuck you were. They just said
Right.
Kent. And I was
Because
like,
we saw them all on Instagram and they're just all fancied up
yeah,
Oh yeah.
and, at the party. And it was like, oh, well, that looks
So-
fun.
Yeah, I've done and really it's just because nobody else was doing it.
Right,
I looked
right.
I was going to go, I'm going to do the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. And then I was looking for the Oklahoma City coordinator and there wasn't one. So I emailed and I'm like, I'll do it.
Can I do that, please? How much of your life is just I was at the place and I just was bored and I was going to do this?
So my daughter asked me that same question when I came back from Bonneville and we went out to dinner and she was asking about it. And she goes, so how many are there? She goes, well, why do you go up to Utah for it? And I said, well, because there aren't any. There's Utah,
right?
There's Bolivia. There's that. And
Do you want me to go to Bolivia?
And she goes, how the hell did you get involved with that?
Yeah.
Why are you doing? How do you get involved with these things? So
You're like,
Right time, right place.
I met a guy, asked a question, and
That's
next
it.
thing I know,
That's it.
yeah,
I'm over at the pump.
I know exactly.
I just said,
Yeah.
I talked to somebody and said, hey, you want somebody to help you with something? They're like, yes, we would.
It's yes and.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's how I got involved with the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. So
Okay.
that is typically in May.
Okay,
And
hold
it's, go ahead. Sorry.
Before we get too far into it, we have a lot of buddies that have never heard of it because I've asked them about if they've ever done it. What is that ride?
All right. So, Distinguished Gentleman's Ride is a worldwide motorcycle ride that
Both of those
benefits men's health.
Okay.
It's for Movember is Men's Health month.
Yeah.
And this is part of that. They started. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
been
know how
running
many
for
years.
I know that I've seen it for about at least a decade.
Yeah.
A little extra.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they do teams, and you get sponsors. You try to get money together, and they do it in all these cities. And people ride. They get together. They dress dapper since it's the Distinguished Gentlemen's. You look distinguished. They like it to be, vintage bikes or vintage looking bikes. But to be honest, any bike is welcome here.
Okay.
And they are that way too. It's not like they're exclusive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They try to get the look going. So they want everybody dressed up, looking dapper. They like the vintage kind of goes along with that feel.
Yeah.
But every bike is welcome. We've had a bunch of different bikes there every year.
Scooters.
We've had scooters.
Scooters are always welcome.
Scooters
All
are
right.
always welcome. We
Yeah.
had we have a bunch of different guys ride bikes every year. Last year we had 50,
Okay.
I think.
Wow.
The year before was our biggest at like 55
All
since I've been running it.
Right.
And we typically meet in the farmer's market, and then I do a trail. We go through all the major districts in Oklahoma City,
Yeah,
and then
we're
we all
big on
get
districts
together,
here.
and
Yeah.
and then we go and drink and eat and have a good time together.
And then, so what time do you guys typically meet at?
So we typically meet about 9 o'clock. We get out about 10:30.
Okay.
And we get there, we drink coffee, we talk, look at bikes and stuff like that. Then we go do our ride. The ride's typically about an hour,
Okay.
Okay.
and then we have a good time. It's the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, and that's how you find it.
And then,
The DGR.
so then is it also like, say I wanted to ride it, I start a page or I get people to donate to it?
So when you do it, you get on. When you sign up for the DGR, it automatically makes you a page.
Okay.
So people can
Okay.
look on you. So I don't really have a page. Pluto does, but
Right.
This is not helping your case, Kent.
I know. But
And
so
he's like, the dog will bring more money than me.
there you go.
Yeah.
And it gives you a page
Okay.
that people can go to, and you can share the page through social media, through whatever.
Yeah.
And you try to get as much money as you can, and then you ride, and then all the money goes for Men's Health.
Okay.
And it's pretty damn. We've had a ton of fun. One of the guys that I met, Russell from the DGR, ended up coming with me to Bonneville this year.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he wants to go back because
Yeah.
he had
Yeah.
a hell of a time.
Dude, we're talking about like as soon as you leave, he's gonna be like, okay, so what's the plan for next year?
Yeah.
What like
No,
you gotta go.
I'm down for going.
So the DGR ride, let's plan for that. Let's talk about that
yeah,
later.
it's good times.
So
We've had a great time every year.
and then our buddies on Harleys, our buddies on metric bikes, scooters, anybody that really rides, because
You can, we do not care. We love riders.
well, and then so Dallas, like Billy and all those guys down there, the Grants.
Yeah.
So this is something I noticed. So there was a bunch of females one year that rode with all of them, a bunch of ladies, and they dressed
Yeah.
up. very dapper. And it was not just a men's thing for them.
Nope, we had a bunch of ladies here this year
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so if you dress up dapper, and dapper can be kind of a broad spectrum, so
Yeah.
use your best judgment. But and then so it usually happens in November.
No, in May.
In May.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I thought it was it's No Shave November, but it's May for
Right.
men's health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so it's a party, have a good time.
Man, we always have a good time.
Fuck yeah! All you do
Yeah.
is have a
And
good
then
time.
Yeah.
we all go to since I've been running it, we always end up in the farmers market. We
Okay.
go to the powerhouse, and
I'm still
they have us.
yeah.
Yeah.
They open up for us and have it for us, so we can sit around and they make lunch and we
Cool.
have a good time.
before
Nice.
we get to the very very end because we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Atomic at all and see if we can get anybody
dear
going?
God, that is a painful.
I know, but we have 4 people that might have like $2 in their pocket.
I
so.
know. So the Atomic was my bar.
This is also Michael Collins, who goes to EBN, asks
Right.
me every time he sees me. And I've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
him every time he sees someone
So-
that's rich to reach out.
So the Atomic was my bar. It was in the farmers market. If you
Right.
go to the farmers market where it's gravel,
Yeah.
you'll still see my sign up there.
Okay.
It was the Atomic Garage and Social Club.
Right.
It would say, go ahead.
Before we get too far, this is a really important part for motorcycling. And I know that we buried this way at the
Yeah.
end, but this is something that Oklahoma City really does need.
Yes.
And it is something
Yeah.
that you were very passionate about. And everyone I talked
Yes.
to always said, we need that. So everyone fucking listening, pay
Yeah.
attention and let's get through this so we can actually try to make this fucking happen finally.
And if you have money,
Please.
please call in.
Please. I'll give you his number.
Yes.
I'll filled it a couple times, but
So what it was is there's an old the old banana building. It's a long building.
Right. Right.
And
is it banana shaped? No.
No. Banana for scale.
Yeah.
And so we had on one end of it was a motorcycle co-op, a do-it-yourself motorcycle garage. I had 6. It was designed with 6 motorcycle bays and all the stuff, so you could completely customize. I like to work with metal. I like to build my own stuff. So I was going to have metalworking stuff
Right,
there,
right.
but it was a do-it-yourself motorcycle garage. But you paid a membership, but it was also a club. So when you got there, you had, it was a lounge area, TV, people
Right,
could do
right,
stuff
right,
together, had people coming in to do classes, teach people how to rebuild, how to do stuff. We were doing a bunch of,
It wasn't just we have lifts.
it wasn't, it was,
It was
a
a
whole,
community.
It was a community.
Right, yeah.
Right.
We were going to have a bunch, I say we, it was me. I was going to have a
I was like,
bunch
don't
of
give-
people, teachers, welders, carb people,
Yeah.
have special people come in because I know a lot of people in the motorcycle community. They were going to come in and have a bunch of events.
Right.
In the center of it, and that was, like I said, that was going to be a members only thing.
Okay.
And also, part of it, a lot of them, they do the lifts by, hourly. My deal was you pay your monthly. If there's a lift free, you can work on your bike as long as you want.
Okay.
In the center was a full service bar. And then on
I
the
got a
other
place.
end was a coffee shop. And I don't know if you guys know the James Beard Award winning Chef Andrew Black.
Yep. I've
He
heard
was-
his name a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was my-
maybe a few times.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was my partner in the coffee side.
Okay.
And he and his buddy Matthew,
Okay.
we were
Right.
the 3. They were going to do the coffee. I was doing the other 2.
Yeah.
And then I also had a huge outdoor patio that was 120 by 75 feet. So it was an outdoor. The whole plan was it to be a year-round patio, so it'd have shade and fans for the summer.
Right.
It was going to have a grassy area with lounge area. I mean, it was.
Bring your dog.
That's why it was called the social club.
Yeah.
Is because it was a place to hang out. You could go in there and start with coffee. I was going to have food trucks and all that stuff, so you could be there all day.
Right.
If you had a motorcycle with the membership, there was going to be 2 tiers.
Okay.
If you had the highest tier, you got a free beer or free coffee every day of the month for members. I mean, the whole point was I wanted people to be there,
Yeah.
Right.
and share and talk and be because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
The whole place was designed where I wanted to live.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there every day. And so things were going good. and I put in a ton of my money into it. And then I went to the bank to get a loan. And that's when the banks crashed in California.
Uh-huh.
And then they needed more collateral, which I had already spent a bunch of money on the place.
Yeah.
And so they needed investors.
Yeah.
And then I found investors. And then last year, I don't know if you guys know, but we lost 37 restaurants
Yeah.
and
Yep.
7 breweries within 3 months. And
Yeah.
when
It went
Yeah.
haywire in the city. Yeah.
And then when that news story came out,
Everybody
next day
was
after
like,
that news story came out, my investors all pulled out and left me holding the bag.
Having worked in a lot of, just different projects around the city for, commercial and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have to get into the exact financials of what it would be, but it's not something insignificant to spend on that. But if you're a motorcyclist in Oklahoma City that is actually very passionate about the community, that's not like, we have pops where they have paid parking
Yeah.
for us to go right up to, but this is an actual legitimate destination for you to go to.
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you look at the bike shed that's in London, it's very popular, or in LA,
Yeah.
and those are not necessarily where you can go wrench on your bike.
right.
No.
But you can go and it's cool. You can go have lunch. You ride through all the other people in London.
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time I see a video of it. But talking about how important that was is because for a lot of guys, I don't have a lift. I'm very fortunate both of my fucking metric bikes have a center stand.
Yeah.
Spanky has a lift, but I don't necessarily want to go work on my bike at his house.
And it's not just lift, it's the tools,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
specialty tools,
Yeah.
Tire machines.
and the knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and
you get help.
Because I've had to have specialty tools like
Yeah.
made.
yeah.
Like weld these 2 tools together so
to
I
make
have
this
the
dumb tool.
yes
Yeah.
that I need. Yeah.
Well, and
yeah.
then that was the thing too, is like, so we help with Edmond Bike Night, where when that event started, the reason why I went to it wasn't the Hooters Bike Night. It wasn't, I don't have a Harley. I've never wanted to have a Harley.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple select few that I want, but
right.
I met Spanky. He's my brother now because of the fact that like we both ride motorcycles and we go to this dumb fucking
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
event thing that we all help with
Oh,
now.
yeah.
But there wasn't a communal space for a long time, and you have the 4 or 5 guys that meet at Casey's, but like having an actual legitimate space where you can go down and you can hang out with your buddies and get a membership that was not so
Yeah.
expensive to work on your motorcycle. Not that everybody's working on it all the time, but it's
But that's not the deal.
Yeah.
You're there. You're with like-minded. And
Yeah.
part of it was being in Bonneville, seeing the community there.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
this is what I want. I want people to want to come here because of the other people, the
Yeah.
like-minded people. And that was kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah, absolutely.
what was surprising to me is I was talking to, I'm friends with Tony Maxey, and I was talking to him about trying to get scooter guys together and
Yeah.
different motorcycle classes together, because I was like, well, I ride my 300 and I'd like to ride it with a bunch of other 300 people. And he's like, well, like 60% of riders don't have friends that ride.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
don't ride with anyone else. They ride to work, they'll ride
Yeah.
to pops, and they may talk to somebody for 5 minutes and then they're like, bye, and then they leave. There's not that communal aspect of it. Evan Bike Night has really showed me, helping with that, like that there is a community behind all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it also it's an event that happens once a month, and it's not the same thing. So where are you? Do you still have access to the building? If someone came in as an angel
I
investor,
have access to the building.
okay.
But,
We're making the plight right now. We're figuring this out. Yeah. Yeah.
I just need the coin.
Yeah.
The building is still available. Now,
Okay.
I don't have the lease on it,
Okay.
but for now, the building is still available.
Okay. And realistically, probably to an extent, we could, if someone came within probably the next 6 to 12 months, you could probably get that worked out.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Mr.
So here's
Landlord.
the crazy part.
Mr. I own multiple
I
houses.
still, I had an engineer and
Yeah.
and an architect, so I have all the plans.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're
Right.
not approved now, but they're already
To go
everything's
back.
approved.
Right,
So I could
right.
send in those exact same plans.
Yeah.
And get them built out and
Right,
approved.
right.
and
Yeah.
We're 90 days from opening.
That-
well, not anymore.
And what was so crazy is when that Instagram page went wild and like went live, I had so many people that were like, have you heard of this? I'm like,
Yeah.
nope. And then after about the 5th time, I was like, yeah, I've heard of it now.
Right. Right.
And then you and I were talking, and then I said, have you heard of this? And you go, yeah, I might be a little acquainted with it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, now the coolest part is that the farmers market really wanted me to open because where my location was would double the size of the farmers market.
Okay.
So we had plans for Halloween, music festivals,
Right,
and all
right.
that. So there was a lot of stuff with it. So it not opening kind of hurt a
Them.
lot of the other plans too.
Yeah. And it's
So-
what, that's the thing with the plaza is doing development and all that stuff for as long as I've done. The plaza took a long time to get
Yeah.
there. And because Spanking and I have talked about this, that's used to be where you bought your heroin at and your crack. Like,
I didn't.
no,
buy-
you didn't.
buy
That's,
heroin
I'm not
or
saying you did
crack,
it, but like, I'm just saying
well,
that's where
you would go through. You
Where
would see
a
the crackheads.
person would.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nefarious individual
Yes.
type
Yeah.
would go
Yeah.
and grab stuff. But
No,
you know,
I remember before Plaza was Plaza when
Yeah.
it was crackheads
Right,
and,
yeah.
and burnout houses
and when you would go down to Bricktown and you do all, no, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
When you would go down to the
Before
area-
there was a canal. in
Yeah.
Bricktown- yeah.
Back when you partied at City Walk.
Yeah.
sometimes the fun, sometimes the
Yeah.
club.
Or the pyramid or kinetics.
there you
Yeah,
go. Oh, God.
yeah, and before the ballpark
Those were
was
dark days.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and so I think that's something that we have a lot of friends that go to the Powerhouse. I've never been there, but
What?
do you want to go after
Powerhouse
this?
frickin'
I've been to Powerhouse.
I always wanna go to
Powerhouse. Is
Powerhouse.
fun. Powerhouse is a good time.
We
It
almost
is a
went there for my
great
birthday
place.
bar crawl, but I was like, everybody got
No,
tired
no,
of the
no.
first. We went to the pump and everyone ended. But a lot of times investments and investors and people that are really trying to figure things out, they go through that struggle the first time, trying to get traction on it,
Yeah.
but then they don't hit the right market because there's Andrew Black being involved with it, super fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But he's not pulling for the motorcycle side of things. So this is to our listeners, the four
Right.
fucking guys
Yeah.
that are listening right now, Dylan, Nate, if you know somebody that wants to get in
Yeah.
on this,
Yeah.
Let's
it
get
was
in on this.
It was, really, it was just timing.
yeah.
I hit
Yeah,
a couple of really bad things. Going to the bank at the same time those banks crashed.
well,
Yeah.
that
That's
hurt.
Yeah.
And then finally getting
You got-
everything lined up and then everything closing down. I mean, it just sucked.
and the economy is really.
Yeah.
People are struggling.
It is.
And the
And I'm not
economy, and I don't mean I'm like businesses, everybody, normal people. People are they're struggling, but everybody's being very cautious right now.
And I will say, and to be honest, I'm not saying my investors were wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
No.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I talked to a buddy of mine. He had a shop, and I saw him at the. He sells like leather goods, man stuff,
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and he asked me how it was going, and I told him the story about him pulling out, and he gave me a hug, and he goes, "The same fucking thing happened to me."
Yeah.
He goes, "I put all my money into a building, and they said now's not a good time." He goes, because he had a shop. And
Right,
he
right.
closed his shop to move into a building, and he was putting into it, and they pulled out, and he lost everything. And he goes, "Now I'm selling out of my house." He
Yeah.
goes, "I lost my
yeah,
ass
yeah.
because of the same thing."
Well, and that's the realistic possibility with anybody that's doing entrepreneur stuff.
Yeah.
It's it's a passion driven project, and that's something that's really great, and that shows. It's not you're just selling something like, well, yeah. Hey, here's this thing.
Right.
Sticky tape. Someone else has been making it for years, but I have a real passion for it. But behind this, as long as I've known you, you've been a motorcyclist, and you've really done a lot. Because
yeah.
how many miles are on the Ural with you and Pluto?
Pluto and I have done 30,000 miles on that
Wow.
sidecar together.
There are people that come out to. I've been at Cycle Gear, and they have been riding for quote unquote 30 years, and they don't have 10,000 miles on their fucking
Yeah.
bike.
I know.
And those people are just as worthy to an extent.
Yeah.
They're still motorcyclists,
Yeah.
but they're just maybe they go to Lumpy's every Saturday, and that's
Yeah.
their fucking.
Yeah.
They put 5 miles on a week.
I mean, to me,
they
to
still
be
need to service
honest,
their bike.
my bike it's a commuter. I
Yeah.
mean, I commute.
Right.
I was
on,
surprised
on a
when I showed
motorcycle.
up in the Land Cruiser today.
Yeah, well, I did. Mainly because I don't watch the weather, and so
Neither did we this weekend.
my bike is at work
One of
because I
one
rode
of
it
us
to work
did.
and got rained out. Or I would have
one
been
of
on a
us did.
motorcycle.
One of us did watch the weather,
Yeah.
and then the other one was like, "It's not gonna rain until the evening."
Yeah.
yeah, I watched weather
I'm
and
famous for
And then
that.
Oh, yeah.
we got rained on from Shawnee
dude, we got from 177
and
I-40
I-40.
to this house took me 4 fucking hours yesterday.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah. And I was,
trying to dodge
you know
the
what
rain.
sucks?
And honestly, it's like at the last like 10 miles, it was like we're wet we're not gonna get any wetter. Like just
go.
go.
Oh yeah, when I got home, my
Yeah.
wife was like, "You look good." I was like, "Define good."
You got a bath.
I got She's
Yeah.
like, the first bath you've had in months. And I was like, I get in the hot tub like every day. So you still are interested in doing Atomic. The Atomic is still something on the table
If
for you.
if things work out.
And if we could crowdsource it, we could get it to happen. If we could get an
I've
angel,
got it all. So before I was a firefighter, all I did was run restaurants.
Okay.
So it's
so
stuff that
you're
I-
not, okay,
Right,
hold on.
right.
Back that
It
up a little
was-
bit. Hold on.
So that's why this was the plan, because I already know that. I ran bars and restaurants.
Right.
What kind of notable bars would you do that somebody that's looking as an investor?
The Old Pearls.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Finnegan's, and one that is no longer, what was that place called?
Where was it at?
Meridian.
Oh, no, it used to be the I mean, this is a long time ago, guys.
He's old.
Yes, I am.
No.
This
you're
used to
both
be
old.
What was the one on Meridian with the
Mangoes?
the
No,
Jaguar salad bar that everybody worked at.
Oh,
Where everybody had to dress up in the goofy
yes,
costumes.
I know what you're talking
Molly
about. Molly Murphy's.
Molly
yeah.
Murphy's.
You know
Yeah,
a cool
yeah.
fact about that? Hold on, before we, because you used to have a 350. Do you still have the 356 replica?
No,
Have you heard the story about
I
this?
sold it for the bar
Okay.
to try to keep the bar. I know.
Okay, hold on. The oldest Porsche in North America almost became the bar at Molly Murphy's.
Really?
The oldest Porsche had been bought by an Oklahoman in Edmond and had been owned, and then he had gotten sick, and his kids were going to sell it, and Molly Murphy's interior decorator was going to buy this Porsche 356 to make it into the salad bar,
Yep.
and they did not wind up selling it, and they kept it in the family, and then Porsche of America was like, "This is the oldest Porsche in America." Holy fuck!
And we
'Cause
were about to have ranch dressing.
Yeah, we were about to cut holes all in
it
that
wound up
bitch.
being a dropped head Jaguar E-Type that was not a V12
Yeah.
R. Anyway, so I'm sorry, but
So Greystone, that was the restaurant I worked at.
Okay.
It used to
Okay,
be one of the
yeah.
fanciest restaurants in town.
I remember
I've
that.
never heard of it, but I bet you
Greystone,
have.
it was up in Edmond.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so you have experience not only in fighting fires and making sure people are alive,
Yeah.
and this is a fire that you're fighting, but you also have experience in management. You have experience in restaurants. You have
Yeah.
experience in a lot of things that will actually. You're not just coming over here like, never done this before in my entire fucking life.
No.
Just
No,
sounds like it'd be cool to own a bar.
Yeah. No, it was a pretty good. I mean, so when Chef Black got on it,
Yeah.
somebody goes, talk to him. Maybe he knows somebody that wants to invest.
Right.
He loved the plan so much. He goes, no, I want to be a part of this.
Okay.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, so it's a good plan. Everybody
Yeah.
loved it. Just timing was bad.
Where's
Yeah.
Sean Taffer at right now? Bar Rescue. I don't know. I watched it for years.
Well, he rescues one. This
Yeah.
one
He doesn't.
exist
He doesn't
yet.
start them.
He's
this
not a bar cultivator.
Yeah.
Well. But as a really serious side note, this is something that we really do need. We had it briefly. If you've been to
Okimoto.
Okimoto, and I did run into those guys. They said it was something they really were passionate about.
Yeah.
But they just could never get the traction where they were, and they went, we didn't really like it, and we left. And they really
Yeah.
didn't, like, from what it sounded like, not trying to talk shit, but like they had like 2 lifts and like a Harbor Freight toolbox kind of thing going
I
on.
don't think
No, it's a little different. No, but they were really great
Yeah.
guys.
it was a different plan than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, they really enjoyed it. They had good membership turnout for a while, and then they
Yeah.
just kind of said it just didn't go where they wanted it to.
Yeah.
But it was also a singular concept where it was, and they had weird hours.
So yeah.
That
So
was-
mine had, the thing was that mine had, when I came up with the plan, I needed 4 different income sources to make sure it could survive.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was the motorcycles, the bar, and the coffee, and then the YouTube channel.
Oh, what
Because
was
I
the
wanted-
YouTube channel?
Right.
Well, the YouTube
right.
channel was going to focus in on the motorcycles, the
Okay.
classes, and all that stuff. Do a bunch of motorcycle stuff,
Okay.
reviews and stuff.
So this is a multi-layered plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had-
This was 3 years of planning. This wasn't just some.
you didn't wake up on a Tuesday and
No.
go, "I'm bored today."
No, this was in talk to other motorcycle people.
Okay.
I talked to a bunch of there are do-it-yourself garages around, and I called them to see what worked and what didn't work.
Okay.
And then I changed what I like. Most of them charged for the lift because they're But I was like, I've got other income sources. What I want, what's most important, is community.
Yeah.
So
Right,
I
right.
lowered my price for that, going, that's okay. I
Yeah.
don't care if I'm not making as much money off of the motorcycles because I have the bar and the coffee.
Well, because bars are always going to make money.
Right.
Coffee
So-
shops are always going to make money.
Right. So
Well, if people
You
are
know-
there working, they're gonna want
they're going to want a beer.
or coffee.
Yeah,
you know,
or a
I
coffee.
mean,
Yeah.
Or the thing that also, like with me and the sheriff, like if I'm over there working on the bike because I don't have a lift to the house, like bring Rex down.
Yeah.
Come hang out on the fucking patio for a little
That's
bit.
the
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
That's the whole point is people can go there and hang out and do what they
Yeah.
want to do. It's
Yeah.
a great place.
I since I've heard about it at the inception, I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And then, we have really been building this podcast to be able to have as many people listen to as possible. But I really do think this is a really good idea that we do need to get more people behind. Why are you looking at me so hard? He's just over there like, how do I win the lottery tomorrow?
Mr. I'm retired entrepreneur.
I wish I wish I'd crowdsourced it earlier. I think that
Yeah.
would have helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
But-
something, it's a pitfall,
Yeah.
but it's not so far behind you couldn't think about it now. But
Well, yeah.
it's just a little harder. I mean, crowdsourcing, when it comes to that, you'd have to get a monumental effort behind it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
well,
So if you and your old lady have a lot of money and you really do feel
or
like,
if you're a single old rich lady. I don't know.
you know
I
what?
mean,
We're all looking for $1, but
We're all-
yeah. So if you do have an idea of someone that that you'd like to put in contact with Kent, you can find him at
The easiest way is to find me at Sidecar Pluto.
it's called a transition, and we
I
got there.
know. I
buddy.
do not have any of my own social media. Only
Yeah.
Pluto does.
But I think we put the good word out about it, and also talking about the Bonneville Speed Week and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
All right, I'm going to tell you one thing. I get it. There's one last thing. It's not motorcycle related, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
okay.
So I also run the Father's Day Fest at Scissor Tail Park every year.
Okay.
And it's on Father's Day. Kind of makes sense, right?
Right,
sense,
right,
yeah.
right.
But anyway, it's just a festival for families. It benefits CASA of Oklahoma,
Okay,
Oklahoma
cool.
County.
Yeah.
The CASA is the court-appointed special advocate.
Yep.
I've been
Yep.
a CASA volunteer for about 5 years now.
Okay.
And so I run the Father's Day Fest and the proceeds for it
Uh-huh.
go to CASA.
Nice.
But,
Dude, he is like this, just the nicest fucking guy.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've run it. I just had my 5th year.
Okay.
And it turned out huge. We had a bunch of people. There's games.
Nice.
We have live entertainment, inflatables, vendors, food
Yeah.
trucks, usually the big friendlies out there. And we had, and we have live entertainment that's all kids.
Right.
So we had
Right.
dance troops from Guatemala. Last year we had the School of Rock came out and
That's
played.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
we've partnered
Yeah.
with them before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a blast. It's free for everybody, and just because it's on Father's Day, you got kids, come out.
Nice.
Even if you don't have
Yeah.
kids, come out. It's a good
Yeah,
time.
even if you don't, because we got vendors. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's
Right.
really
Hang
fun.
out, donate some money,
Yep.
pull your wallet open, and give $1 out.
And like I said, if you ever want to help kids, because kids need it,
Yeah.
kids in the foster care system, CASA is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've done it for 5 years, and I feel like I'm helping somebody.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Kent is the nicest motherfucker. Like
I'm
he's
not.
like,
You just don't know me that well.
well, depends on who you ask.
When nobody's around, I'm juggling cats. So I mean, it's
That's not bad. That's just impressive. I mean, like I have a cat now again for the first time in years. But yeah. Okay. Well, find Kent at Sidecar Pluto. Pull your money out of your wallet. Let's go ahead and get the Atomic going. And we're gonna plan on going to Bonneville next week or next year, not next week.
So
I'm
it's
down
bi-
for that. That's a bucket
it's-
list item.
Bonneville MST is
Okay.
how you find out about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to go to Bonneville MST.
I'm gonna ask
If
you
you
all this.
want
Yeah.
to do the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride,
Yeah.
you'll have to Google it. I don't remember the website. But, you're gonna have
Yeah.
to Google that shit.
Yeah.
But and then if you want to know about helping kids, it's CASA OK or what is that? CASA of OK County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's different costs for around the
Yeah.
state and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And then the Father's Day Fest. So those are all the things I'm plugging right there.
That-
And if you want to follow the coolest dog in the state, Sidecar Pluto
Pluto.
at Instagram.
dude,
He is really cool.
He is pretty cool.
And if you
I
see
don't-
him
I don't-
outside, pet him.
Yeah,
Don't be
yeah.
afraid of
Yeah.
him. He's very
Yeah.
nice.
I always love when people are like, "Can I pet your dog?" I'm like, "I've been around when you haven't been around." I'm like, "Yeah, pet him." Like,
Yeah.
You're like, what about me? Can I get some? Can I get a
some
pet?
love?
Yeah.
He's pretty nice.
Yeah.
he's a good time. So, okay, well, thank you very much. Hold on, let's go ahead and just thank you, Kent.
Well, thank you, man. Thank
Yeah,
you. This has been
yeah.
a blast. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, you were like, "How long did we go for?" 2 hours and 3 minutes. So, thank
Perfect.
you. All right, all
I
right.
can do that.
Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you
Absolutely.
guys next
Talk
time.
to you later.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.